Okay, good morning everyone. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay, so good morning everyone. So magsimula na po tayo. So while we are waiting po sa ating MC, of course hindi naman pwede nating i-delay. So that's why sisimulan na po natin. Okay? Okay, so may mga pre-recorded doxology po tayo. Okay, for a while lang po. Ayan. Okay, so may mga pre-recorded po tayo na mga videos for doxology, etc. So ita-play na po natin. Then after the program, of course, sisimulan na po natin yung first speaker. So right now, meron na pong naka-line up na 3 resource speaker for our last webinar series. No? So for the first speaker, so it will be Mr. Sid Garcia, who will be discussing data protection. And then for our second speaker, it will be Mr. Alfred Valdez, who will be discussing the system administration and its roles. No? And then for our last webinar speaker is Mr. Engineer Salem Lailo. Okay, so of course, bago tayo mag-start, so I will just play the doxology, yung mga video po natin, and then right after the series of videos, and then we will immediately start with the program.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, hewas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong bagaw, ay hinatang tulakaw,
struggle in roads of different ways. Roads may be rough on me, but I'll be strong. You taught me to trust in God that I may go on. But as life continues, I know I'll be missing you. You have prepared me to face the world. Triumphs, you are so dear to me. I will uphold your values to my community. You have given me hope, you have shown the light. I want to thank you for what you've done for me. Now the future will be so bright. I want to be my generation's guide. Set an example to live by a truth, to make a difference for tomorrow's youth. But as life continues, I know I'll be missing you. You have prepared me to face the world. Triumphs, you are so dear to me. I will uphold your values to my community. You've given me hope, you have shown the light. I want to thank you for what you've done. Triumphs, you are so dear to me. I will uphold your values to my community. You've given me hope, you have shown the light. I want to thank you for what you've done for me.
I would like to welcome everyone to the new normal. Alam nyo, maraming pagbabago ang binigay sa atin ng pandemyang ito. Mula sa kabuhayan at pati na rin sa kung paano tayo makikisalamuha. Lahat tayo ay binago ng COVID-19 pandemic. Subalit sa isang banda, ay may naidulot din naman itong magandang aral para sa ating lahat. Katulad ng pagpapahalaga sa pamilya, sa kung ano ang meron at iniingatan natin. Sa nakalipas sa 10 buwan, pinatunayan natin ang tatag ng mga Pilipino. Hindi natin inaasahan ang bilis ng mga pangyayari na halos lahat ay cashless na kung gusto mong kumain, ay magpa-deliver ka. Kung magbabayad ka ng bills, ay pwede na online. Shopping, banking, at kung ano-ano pa. Pero alam nyo, lahat ng yan ay napaghandaan na ng TriMex colleges. Mula sa online payment, enrollment, records, and even the conduct of classes. At sa hapong ito, tayo ay magiging bahagi ng isang mahalagang gawain, handa para lamang sa atin. Namnamin ang bawat salita at bawat minuto at nawa ay matuto tayo. Maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.
Do
Okay, so again, good morning, everyone. So for our first speaker for today, so it will be Mr. Sid Docero. So we will be discussing data protection. So medyo napapanahon po ang topic po niya. So hopefully everyone will gain for this very informative webinar. So of course, Mr. Ricky Cruz will be introducing our guest speaker for today. So let's hear it, no, guys.
Hi guys, this is Teacher Ricky at Trimex Colleges, and we are in our series on personal and career development. Now, this is a series of vlogs to help students navigate their path towards a career they want after college. Now, we are also helping people who wish to grow in their current careers. And also, for anyone who wants to explore venues of income generating opportunities. We will give you tips and interview important people in the top of their careers who can help you and inspire you grow. Now, so subscribe, like, and share this channel to your family and friends who wish to invest in themselves. Now, for our guest today, let me introduce to you a friend of mine. His name is Mr. Sid Garcia. He took up his AB Philosophy in Ateneo de Manila University and currently the Data Protection Officer at Third Pillar Business Application Incorporated. So let's go to the interview.
Hello, good morning, Sid Garcia. This is my friend from
Good
high
morning,
school.
Ricky.
So Sid right now is a DPO, and today he will be discussing what he does, where he works, and his responsibilities, and also hopefully encourage you guys na mag-DPO rin after or think of that career in now for the future. Hi Sid, good morning.
Good morning, Ricky.
So
Ano
tell
yung
us more
concerns?
about
Yes.
DPO,
All
being
right.
DPO.
Sige. The the title is Data Protection Officer. It's under the Data Privacy Office.
Mm.
So the function of the DPO is to protect
Yeah.
your privacy. So that's how the terms are generally used. I'm the Data Protection Officer of Third Pillar Business Applications Inc. Third Pillar is an IT consulting firm recently acquired by Globe
Mm.
Telecom. So we
Congratulations.
are now a subsidiary. Thank you. We are now a subsidiary of Globe Telecom. We are a small company, a startup company, less than 100 employees. We started with about maybe 6, 7.
Mm.
Now we ramped up for the past 6 years, and we got acquired by Globe.
Mm.
And Globe, since it's uh, a big corporation, their data privacy practice is very mature. There's like a whole team that that was formed
Mm.
and constantly looking into data protection, also slash information security, which is the mother organization or mother group. So data privacy office falls under the information security office.
I see.
That, yeah.
So what are your responsibilities in terms of,
All right. Okay. The main the data protection officer, the DPO, is an independent office or independent individual in a company. So
Mm.
you're hired, you come in, you check out the processes and procedures of the process owners and see if there is protection of data of data subjects.
This
Just to
is
give a
data
little background.
subjects. I'm sorry, excuse me. This is data projects of the people, the customers that you're serving, and also of the company. So you're both protecting the customers as well as your company. Yun ba yun? Or
Um,
just
siguro for
customers?
just a definition of terms, a data subject is any individual that has information, personal information. So
Mm,
that is what a data protection officer is trying to protect.
mm,
So just for as an example, for your school or your office, you will identify who's in the office and whose data was shared. Um, so that's everybody, no,
correct.
from president all the way to I guess the messenger.
Right.
Everyone's information is
Protected.
taken or collected.
Right.
I will just use some data protection terms, no? So
Right.
the information is collected. So example, name, address, cell phone number,
SSS.
age, and SSS, photo. Diba?
Oh,
Sometimes
photo. Yeah.
photos are asked. Um, and so that all falls under personal information. And to separate it, there is personal information, special, sensitive personal
Right.
information, and privileged information. So the potential for breach is the sensitive personal information because it's an
Mm,
identifier of who you are. There's probably a Ricky Cruz, a couple
several.
of thousand Ricky Cruz,
Several.
several,
So, mm,
not as yeah. And then there's a Ricky Cruz that's looks like you, wears a cap, and has a SSS pag-ibig number, TIN number, and
right.
that is sensitive personal information because it identifies you already.
Mm,
So when a company who has collected that information about you accidentally
mm,
loses that or shares it to the outside world, they are liable for a breach on
mm.
your data, your data privacy. So that's what generally the data privacy office protects.
Okay.
The personal information of data subjects. And when you're talking about customers, it is the same.
Right.
When a customer shares his information, name, normally with customers, that's why there's a default. We try not to get birthdays and
Mm,
any government issued IDs because that is the most dangerous. It's sensitive personal information. But with consent, because you're giving consent of the information, that's usually the name, a cell phone siguro, and the email. That's just very general. Yung
mm,
mga address kasi ng company, it's public eh. It's public information. You're not gonna get in trouble sharing a company's address. But sharing a person's home address is another matter.
correct.
Aside from data privacy, there's confidentiality that there's a violation of confidentiality there. But let's stick with data privacy. If I got the information of the customer, let's say it's a president of a big bank,
Mm,
and I get his cell phone because we were dealing with each other, and
mm,
I loosely just share it to somebody else, and that somebody else contacts him. He
mm,
can now ask, "Where'd you get my number?"
mm,
And then, kasi it is personal for him.
mm.
So that's a potential breach. I'm not saying you might go to jail or pay damages for that, but at the minimum, it's reputational damage on your part because the president who gave you the number will probably not give you anything else because a
Right.
trust was there was a breach of trust, not
Right.
exactly a breach of data privacy because it's not sensitive yung information
Mm,
because somebody else could have, you can deny
right.
that you
Right.
got the kasi nga when you're going to prove that it came from you, we go legal now, law, it's difficult to prove that
Oo nga.
because
That's
that
true.
cell phone number, thousands of people know that already. It might be on his Facebook or what have you,
Right.
um uh, but the reputational yung nawala on that is compromise with you and the president. Do you think you're gonna get business with this person again? No.
No.
Thus, when you talk about data privacy, you just have to be a little sensitive, a little bit paranoid on what you share. And that, to your point a while ago about Facebook and Apple, or the different other the other different companies that have compromised our data.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you just have to be sensitive on what you post because you can get in trouble. Um, there have been many situations where people post, those shaming videos where
Right.
they take videos of sa gym. There's an example of an actress who took a video of a lady who was in the gym, and reason she's in the gym, she's trying to get fit, and made comments about her body.
Oh, body shaming.
Cellulite, body shaming, cellulites and all. Um, Unfortunately, face was captured, and she can be identified.
Right.
So
Ah,
she can file a case. She can file a case against that actress, and I'm almost sure she's gonna settle. So you're gonna pay. You're
yeah.
not gonna go to jail because it's not that big a crime, but you're gonna pay. So aside
Right.
from yung social media flack of body shaming, which is not acceptable, let's just go legal, and you're gonna get in trouble with the law because you violated her data privacy.
Right.
Not and you're gonna pay if she pursues it. So if you know your rights and
Right.
somebody else knows their rights, violations can be reported. It's a The data privacy law is a 2012 law,
Right.
so it's been for your consent. That's what you ask
I
it. I agree. Tapos there are some merong minimum kasi the minimum is you give your email and your name, 'di
right.
ba? So now of
Right.
course yung name mo, you can come up with whatever name, right? But the email is an identifier to you. Because for
Mm,
you to be able, you cannot just invent an email, otherwise you still cannot download the app,
right.
correct?
Right.
So
Ah,
that's almost an automatic legitimate email that you're giving. Now, as to your name, it could be just Ricky, um,
Ricky Cruz.
Ricky Garcia. It doesn't matter. Pero yung email will connect you. So if you're talking hacking, if they get into your
Wow.
email, obviously they can now get into your whole ecosystem, and your privacy can be compromised because
Mm.
it will really be connected to a Ricky Cruz. That's why they ask for your consent. And when you give your consent, it's over. Tipong
Over for the
uh,
consumer of the app.
in a way, if the app maker is spies,
Unscrupulous.
has nefarious, unscrupulous, they can mine your data. That's why whatever you give out, you should be ready to give out. So
Ah.
that's why you have to be careful what you share,
Mm.
what you consent to. It's just yun na yung we're talking, even the legitimate apps. What are you ready to share? You think when you share an app, kunwari, di ba Facebook was launched 2007
Right.
roughly.
Right.
So then we all wanted to get into it, right? So there are some, I think even earlier, but I got into pala it 2007 because of one of her friends who told me get into it to reconnect with people
Oh,
and
social
business,
networking nga. Oh, totoo.
social
Totoo.
networking, no? So I got into it because of that. And sa atin in our country, when you log into Facebook, we are an op we generally, when we registered, we opted in for everything in
Everything.
Facebook,
True.
everything. And then you what you do is you go to your settings, and then you opt out. You start opting out. Share my news feed, share my photo, share my birthday. But remember, the
Uh,
first time you put in, pinasok mo lahat, right?
right.
And then when you first open your page,
Everything's
everything
there.
is exposed.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why kung hindi ka, if you're not like techie, or you don't know all these rules, how many people really read the fine print on the terms and conditions?
No one.
Do you?
No.
Because
It's
number
too
one, it's too
long.
small and it's too long.
It's
It's
too
too
long.
long.
It's too long.
Yeah, and then but it's a legal document, and all these apps, when you agree to that, you have opted in, and whatever's in there, you've opted in. And there came a point in Facebook where people were complaining about, oh, my photos, why are I own these photos, blah. No,
Not
you should have
anymore.
read the fine print. Not anymore.
Ah,
Now,
yeah.
so that's why some people are upset that, you mean to say Facebook owns my photo and they can sell it? Yes.
Yeah.
uh, um, and then I'm not gonna get any money from it. Yun. But the professionals know it. That's why they don't whatever they share on these public platforms for their marketing efforts. It has watermarks and all that. So parang um,
Curated. Curated na siya.
in a way
Pinag-isipan.
curated o
Pinag-isipan na, okay,
pinag-isipan.
meron tong royalty to, ayokong win to.
Correct. So you just need in other countries. I talk about Facebook. When you register in another country sa Facebook, it's an when you come in, basic lang yung nandun. Then you opt in. Share your photos. It's a different countries in the generally Europe is the when you register or you download an app, basic lang yung kukunin sa'yo. That's why they ask permission from you if you want this, and this. And then you can just say no to all of those and then you still are able to download the app. Minimum sila. Pero sa ibang countries like us, when you come in, lahat pwede na.
Will there come a time?
Then you start opting out. Yeah.
Will there come a time in the Philippines that will be more sophisticated than the other countries?
I always say it's just we have a great law. The Philippines we have great laws. It's just a question of implementation.
Para traffic rules.
So if we implement traffic rules, building codes, we have one of the best building codes in the world. It's just a matter of implementation. And the good thing is the National Privacy Commission, they're very active in the data privacy community. So there's so many, and they share about rights, and there's a landmark case where lending companies, I don't know if you saw this, but
it did. Billboard.
They were posted billboards. That company probably didn't know the data protection laws, because that's ultimate. Even if may utang talaga, balasubas talaga, they will never pay. You cannot post photos with addresses and telephone numbers. The photo was really the kicker, the final straw, because photo, ang kawawa doon are those really struggling, the people who had debts. But unfortunate things happen and they just can't pay, and then you post it. I mean, those people can just file for damages, data privacy, and more than that, it's yung psychological damage. I'm not moral damages. Sorry, moral damages, kasi impact on you, on your
family,
your family, reputational career. So you can sue. So those lending firms are really in trouble. I don't know if they're still open, but the National Privacy Commission or the NPC has recommended charges to be filed against them.
They filed the case against a company, not anymore the individuals.
The NPC, kasi government, no, the NPC recommends that the Republic of the Philippines file cases against these companies. That's how our government protects us.
Galing
for our companies. So it's just a question of the aggrieved, the victim, if they will testify. But by law,
I see. Parang
by law, yung
dole, parang dole.
Team, but there is a
proof,
data privacy. Yeah, there is proof. So that's why the government, remember, diba, sometimes the government can file a case against another person if it's going to harm the general public.
Right.
So even if the victim will not
Solicitors General, parang ganun.
So that's how we have to be careful about how we share information, especially personal. Loosely sharing photos na hindi mo kakilala, and then if the person kasi, shinare mo yung photo ko, wala kang right, wala kang consent based on my right as in the Data Privacy Act. Patay. I mean, you can get it.
It's so easy in Facebook. There's always a share button, right?
Correct.
Like,
that's why I don't
comment and share.
Yeah, that's
not
why
unless the person says, "Share, please share my picture."
Correct. There are some people. you just have to be paranoid about it. That can I share this? Will I get into trouble sharing this? That's
This
why
is
people
me as a consumer or the
as a
person trying to
sharer.
share.
Oo, oo.
Okay.
Let's say you have a nice photo of kunwari Ricky in your Ricky posing somewhere in BGC.
Correct.
It's really a nice photo, ganda ng sunset. And then you ask yourself, can I share this to my friends? Kasi photographers and friends ko is as
Right.
an inspiration. But I can see you clearly your face. So what I can do is probably ask you privately, hey Ricky, can I share this to my photographer friends? It's just out of courtesy. I mean, let's go old school, no?
Paalam.
If it's not yours, paalam ka.
Right.
And unfortunately, with the social media, nobody asks permissions anymore.
Yan. Oh, wala.
Nobody even credits anybody. So that's why I like the CTTO, diba? Credit to the owner. I love that when people post a photo, they know they can't, or a message or a meme, they know they cannot find already the original creator of that, but they just say CTTO. So
Credit
if
to the
it's your
owner.
friend, credit to the owner. So it's just
Parang
being good
transparent.
manners lang.
Transparent rin, di ba?
Good
Parang
manners lang.
hindi
And
ako
it
gumawa
also
nito.
protects you.
Yeah,
Yes, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, it also protects you just in case this Ricky that we took a picture in BGC turns out to be some gangster guy that you're, and then because of that you promoted the photo and he was able to con
Patay
old
ka nun.
ladies out of millions of pesos. You might be a conspirator. I mean, if
Considered.
this is just being paranoid.
Yeah.
You can be a enabler or a conspirator. Now that's just the paranoid side of people. That's just my paranoid side. That's why I don't share. That's why I will never share. Kasi nga, unless I get consent from you.
Okay guys, so please be careful mga students dyan pag mag-share. Credit to the owner or magpaalam talaga. Oh, I have another question, Sid.
Sure.
So more or less, compliance to the law is your responsibility. How hard is it to ask a company or even the people in the organization to comply?
All right. As the data protection officer, so you come into an organization, you are independent of you report to the president and the CEO because she hired you, or he or she hired you, but you have independence from her. If you want to file a breach report to the NPC and it's the president who committed the breach, by law it's your obligation and duty as a data protection officer. Tough job. It's a tough job. Now, as to the implementation of the policies and procedures that you recommend, it's up to the process owners. So example, Ricky, in your
school,
let's say as a in your school, you're a director, you also teach.
Right.
What's your process? Who are the people under you? What data do you use or manage throughout the day or throughout your function as a managing director? Policies and procedures will help you to regulate that so that there is no privacy violation.
Right.
But if you don't follow the rules and policies, then you will get everyone in trouble. I have to report you. And you put not just yourself in trouble, it's the whole company. The repercussions is the company.
There will be parang an auditing na para siyang
there is an auditing, correct.
BIR also, no?
Correct.
Na pupunta sa office, titignan kung tama ba yung mga papers mo. In your part, it's more of are we following the rules and regulations of the government?
Are we following the rules? Is there a breach? And it's a constant checking of what are your processes now? Nagbago ba? Do we need to put in new policies? As an example, HR. Okay, HR handles the employees.
Right.
And then since you're in a school, you handle the students. Those are your data subjects.
Right.
So how much do you protect their data? I'll give you an example. Where is it stored? Kasi you collected it, right? The data. Where is it stored? Is it in a database? in a computer, I would assume. Does it have a paper
Trail, parang hard
version?
copy. Hard
Does it,
copy.
yeah, does it have a hard copy? Now, how many computers has this database?
Right.
How protected is your computer? How many people access your computer? Is it connected to the internet? Most probably. Is it in the cloud? Those are the questions you ask. Because when you think about it, where is the potential
Breach.
theft or breach of this data? Kasi when you lose that data, um, that's it. You need to report it to the National Privacy Commission, to your DPO. And then, but as long as you follow your policies and procedures, you should be fine. And your DPO will come in to audit you if you've been following to the letter what has been recommended. Remember, I'm not a DPO is not the process owner. He
Correct.
is just the one who oversees. He's the bad cop, good cop
Bad cop,
for
good
looking at
cop.
your organization. Bad cop, good cop, because uh, most often bad cop probably kasi nga babantay ka eh. You're guarding eh.
Pero
Diba? You're
it's good
guarding if
eh.
everything's secure.
It's good for your company
Yeah, it is.
because
Okay, good point. Good point. Yeah. Good point. Kasi nga you are protecting the life of the company. The most
yes.
serious consequence of data breach is closure of companies.
Yes. That's the
With
important
our
point.
example, you lose money, and then if you don't have enough money, then that's it. I'll give you an example. Facebook, because of all the breaches that happened during the presidential election with
Right.
yeah with that
Cambridge and
Cambridge Analytica,
Yeah.
Cambridge Analytica. So there's a breach. So that's still under investigation. But you know what Facebook did? They donated or $5 billion.
Wala yun.
$5 billion.
Wala yun.
Yes, correct. You are
Wala yun.
correct.
5
It's a huge
billion.
amount. 5 billion for the ensuring protection of people's data and confidentiality, etc., etc. 5 billion. That will help. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, it will help. Ano yung impact on the bottom line of Facebook? Drop in the bucket. What is 5 billion for that huge a company? Now, if we're talking, let's say another company, and then let's say sabihin mo na lang 10 million, malaki na yon. Laki na ng impact nun.
Closure.
And for smaller company, closure, almost
Closure.
closure and stress and heart attack, all the other stuff that will affect you as a person, it's all there because you share the photo that you shouldn't have shared.
Yun lang, no? Isang tao lang. Isang tao
That's
lang.
paranoia. I mean, that's paranoia and I think that this is when paranoia helps. There's a certain quality of the people in the data privacy office. Yung mga OC, very structured, process-oriented. Paranoid is my main. I like you to be a paranoid person na, uy, shinare yung photo. Dapat ba shinare yung? Okay lang. Kanya naman yun eh. Kanya naman.
This leads me to the next question. What are the qualities nga to be a DPO? Yan, paranoia, you said.
I just put two in my briefings. It's independence and paranoia. There has to be a certain... I just put, that's just for me, no? But if you check the NPC, they give you,
list.
Being a lawyer will be helpful because you already know the law, yung legal
Being a
side,
lawyer or just knowing the law?
Knowing the law, okay. Pero maganda kasing function if you're already a lawyer and a DPO, data protection officer. Kasi when there comes a case or a potential case, you can now argue with the complainant and also the counterpart on a very legal. At saka iba yung may titulo ka eh.
Right.
You're a lawyer and also you're a data protection officer. So I'm not a lawyer, and then so when I volunteered to be a data protection officer, it was like, are you sure? Because you might go to jail. You don't know your law and all that. But if you know your data protection law, you should be fine. And
So,
one of the things,
ayun.
you should, if you know your law, you should be fine. And then when you go to court, then you have your lawyer with you. So mas mahal lang for a company, pero mahal din mag-hire ng ng lawyer
Correct.
na data protection officer. So ako kasi, since hindi ako lawyer, tapos nag-volunteer pa ako, walang ginastos yung kumpanya, correct?
Pero yung qualities mo,
So
pagiging OC, pagiging meticulous, pagiging
when
independent.
I recommend, correct, when I recommended to the company that we need to have it looks like we need to a few years ago I said we need to have a DPO. There was not much awareness, and because we are handling data, kasi it's really awareness. You know, it's a 2012 law. When did we just find out about this though? When all these breaches happened
Correct.
globally, diba? So
Right.
so you become aware of it, and then you realize our company doesn't have a DPO. We should have a DPO, and then so nagkaroon, who should we hire? Blah blah blah. It should be a lawyer, ganyan ganyan. And we remember we're a startup company. Who can take over? By default, it's the president of the company.
Right.
Is the DPO.
Should be
President
the
/ DPO.
uh,
And even if she or he doesn't know anything about the data privacy law, he by law you have to apply you have to register a DPO.
right.
So that's the first step of any organization. You apply, you register a DPO. Once that's registered, you don't stop there because you need to practice the law. So that's why when I applied, I volunteered as a DPO. I had minimal knowledge of data privacy. That's why I attended a workshop and got certified. So I have a certification recognized globally. So so the company sponsored that workshop or seminar because a company should, so that you have a legit DPO. That's why now I know, there's a lot of work to do. It
A
could have
lot.
just been a figurehead. Could
Correct.
have just been a
Right.
figurehead role,
Position.
and then when a breach happens, I am the one who goes to court, and I
Ikaw-
will be
ikaw na.
embarrassed because
Hindi mo alam.
I will be embarrassed because I don't know the law. I will refer. Let me talk to my lawyer who knows the law, the data
Oo nga.
privacy law. How incompetent is that, right? But that's
Oo.
common.
Ano
That's
ka?
common.
Kung scapegoat. Kung scapegoat, sasabihin ng president.
I will be a,
Ayan.
you know, I will be a, yeah, correct. I'm a scapegoat if I don't know the law, but I know the law now.
Now.
So the joke is I'm not only going to be the one that goes to jail.
I'm not gonna go down. I'm not alone going down with this.
But you know,
Pati kayo.
in the end, pero you know, in the end, what's sad is when you think about the impact on the company, everyone's gonna lose their job.
Oo nga. That's
So
why
that's
important.
that's how paranoid you have to think. So your school will shut down if
Because-
there's a critical breach on your
Critical.
end. Critical breach. Kasi everything can be negotiated, settled, right?
Right.
But if the person settlement is give me 50 million, oh my gosh, legal fees ka. And then what if the guy wins the case?
Talo.
You're down. You're dead. You're dead. Diba?
Mm-mm.
So that's why, and it all starts with a data privacy violation, which is usually anchored on ignorance. They just did not know. So the first thing we have to do is know the law, know the basics of what we need to do, and then put in place policies and procedures that the process owners will need to abide by, so that generally our company knows. I'll give you an example, Ricky. If your company has a general knowledge of the law, and then policies and procedures are set up, you do some registration on the National Privacy Commission, and a breach happens. The first thing you do is you don't conceal it, because that's the
Report it.
biggest, report it, whether it happened or not. Kasi nga, it's an incident, no? You're not sure if there's a violation, but you need to report it. Otherwise, dalawa magiging krimen mo. Yung actual violation and the concealment, which is a bigger, has a bigger penalty. Kasi tinago mo eh.
Right.
So that's why if you're not sure, report it. Because the National Privacy Commission, they're very fair. They will
Right.
investigate, and the reporting has to happen within 72 hours. Pag
72
inunahan ka nung 72 hours. Pag naunahan ka ng complainant by 1 minute,
Oh,
by
1
law,
minute.
ano
Concealment.
ka na, lugi ka na by one. Merong pwede na nilang, alam mo naman ng mga legal mambo jumbo, right?
Right.
Mga what's the term? Legal, mambo jumbo. I
Mambo
forget the
jumbo.
term. That was the mambo jumbo. And they can always twist you. Oh, you did not comply in 72 hours. You complied on the 72 and 1 minute. So by
Which is,
law, the law is blind. The law is blind, right? Yep.
Justice.
Yeah, justice is blind. So parang, yep, you did not comply within the 72-hour time frame. Remember, emails are timestamped.
Correct. Madaling hanapin.
Madaling malaman. So that's where you have to play around with, should I report it? Shouldn't I report it? That's why you have to assemble the breach team, and then you decide, and then everything has to be documented. And then
Right.
if you're unsure, you report it. If you're sure,
You reported pa.
but there is still a incident report, at least internally. When years down, months down the road, somebody complains, and then ano nga yung nangyari? Okay, we have a record of it. Then you have knowledge is very important. Sabi nga ni weather reporter Amado Pineda, right? Tama ba siya ba yun?
Hindi siya.
Mali. Si ano yun? Channel 7 yun. Si Channel 2.
Channel 2. Si Atienza.
Knowledge is power.
Ay, si
No, before him.
Si anyway,
The Pag-asa. Yeah, the weather. Knowledge is power. You have to research that, Ricky, who that guy is.
Ay, hindi ka makakatulog. Hindi makakatulog. Ako, question. Kung ako, I'm still studying, I want to be like you. Ano ang dapat kong gawin to prepare myself to be like you?
Oh, great. You just check out the National Privacy Commission website. And just read the law. Just read the law, and then just read it, and then you'll be made aware of your rights as a data subject.
Right.
Consequences if there are breaches, and then it's just general knowledge. And then and if you have a DPO, and then one of your students goes to the DPO and says, "Do you know that it's my right to have access to my data?" And your DPO says, "Hindi, amin yan. Hindi, wala ka. Sinabit mo na eh."
No.
There you go.
No.
Knowledge is power.
Talo ka.
Knowledge is power. So and then when the student starts talking about, according to Article 1,
patay ka.
Number blah blah blah, and then my right as a data subject is, I'll give you an example, Ricky. If I'm not sure if 100% of your data is correct. Let's say there is a Sid Garcia in your database, pero mali yung spelling ng Sid Garcia. And then for the rest of his school life, that's the name that you put. I can demand, and then nakita ko sa report card ko, ito na naman, mali na naman tong eskwela sa name. I can demand that you change.
Tama naman.
If you don't do it, you will be in violation of the Data Privacy Act.
Tama
naman. School. Now, did we
may
know that
times,
before?
I guess it's courtesy especially kung nag-complain yung bata. Diba? Mali yung pangalan pa dito.
But ang pwede mong sabihin kasi as a school administrator, okay, it's up to me whether to change it or not. It's not up to you. By law, you have to change it. By law, you have to change it.
Dapat kasi yung consequences yun, especially pag nag-graduate na yung bata, tapos nag-diploma, ang hirap palitan. Actually, ang problema namin usually is baliktad. Mali ang sinadmit nilang data sa amin.
That's another issue.
Diba? Kasi yung kanilang birth certificate is not the name that they submitted to us. So, may question kami doon. Tapos sasabihin namin, "Ma'am, sino ba to?" So, yun ang issue. In terms of data input of data, yun ang pinakamalaking issue namin, yung maling akala. So the kids would say, "Sir, ito yung binigay sa amin na pangalan." Pero pag tinignan mo yung birth certificate, hindi. so, so something like that.
Correct.
Eh, yung mga
That's
okay,
why
how do they prepare? As of now, kunyari, freshman sila, and then they want to go, yung parang inkling of DPO. Kasi parang niche na market yan eh. Not a lot
niche.
of
You
people
know,
know eh.
it would be perfect if you have students who are but if you have students who have like some lawyer dreams, maybe we don't know. Okay, so pag medyo this might be for kasi your school is IT, right? More
May
IT.
IT, may BA,
IT, all
pero
right.
wala pang law.
Okay,
Wala pa kaming law.
kung IT, you can now go into the information security, which is remember the umbrella. So which is deeper.
Oh,
That's deeper. And then under that is if they have knowledge of data privacy, so it's a complement. Kasi you're working with data.
right.
So since IT, that should be a good track. Information security, because we're all going to be in the cloud. It's not gonna go anywhere. We're never gonna lose that. So information security, and then the knowledge of data privacy would be add on. Because let's say you apply to a company and say, "Oh, I'm an IT graduate and then / information security." Meron kang seminars or modules that you completed on the internet for free, by the way. And
May
then
ganun ba yan? I mean, mga modules na for free na pwedeng pasukan.
there's so much data, so much information that you can go to on the internet to just read on information security. Especially it's so connected to your school.
Right.
And the benefit of information security, because that's what needs to be protected
Correct.
in any system, information security. Then when you have knowledge of data privacy, because there will always be data subjects with personal information that will be inputted in the databases. So if you had the knowledge of data, tapos kunwari you go through work and then you're an IT guy, you're working in information security, you have data privacy background. Next thing you know, you become part of the data breach team. Next thing you know, when you grow older, you know already the law. Then they appoint. Then you have to take over from the data data protection officer because you know it. Then you get certified. So there can be a track. We don't know how it's gonna be 20 years from now or 10 years from now, how data will be seen. But as we see it, generally, globally, it needs to be protected. People are becoming aware of their rights as citizens. So
global
and data
citizens.
privacy is an element. Global citizens.
citizen.
It's an element. That's why yung how we protect our own data and how we protect other people's data is very important. So a knowledge of it.
So what you're
will
saying
help
is
if you
like
know it.
what you're saying is that these students who wish to have a career in data privacy or data protection industry should start now, understanding, learning, and then in the future, if given the opportunity, it's a parang feather in their cap, or pwede nilang ilagay sa CV nila na they attended X seminar or meron silang online learning regarding data. Kasi makikita ng HR and pwede siyang gamitin as a foot in the door to get a job in that field. Kasi parang bago pa siya.
You're correct when an HR would say, "Uy, meron kang seminar na inattenda na data privacy." There are so many on Facebook na mga data privacy groups. You just join. Now, at the minimum kasi,
May groups.
at the minimum, kasi some people will input no yung college students, or they will say, I want to know more about data protection. So what do I do? So and then people are very helpful. And
Right.
then you attend this seminar, it's free. Lalo na ngayon because of online seminars, everybody wants to have an audience. So the bigger the audience, that's why it's generally free.
Right.
There's just so many, and
Really?
it's really enthusiasm. But at the minimum, Ricky, you know your rights as a data subject. That's it. If you know your rights as a data subject, you know what others, what the minimums that other people and companies would have to do to protect you as a data subject. So that
Ang
that
maganda.
I would recommend for anyone for that matter.
Di ba may saying na hindi indifference to the law eh. Ano to? Ignorance of the law is
It's not an excuse.
not an excuse. So lahat tayo dapat maging
Correct.
maging educated about
general awareness, going back to we just need to know the general traffic rules, that you don't cross when the light is red. When the walk sign is red, don't cross.
Pero di ba, not everybody knows that eh. I mean, alam mo, kung 90%, baka 99%, pero may 1% pa rin. May 1%.
It's awareness eh. There's a traffic light. There's a pedestrian light. Di ba? You just have to be aware that there's a pedestrian light. Now, you also have to be aware if there's some stupid driver who is violating the law by beeping the red light.
Baliktad naman.
Kasi yung iba, ano yan, nag-violate ka ng law. Pero bali-bali naman buto mo, di ba? Kasi hindi ka aware dun sa local driver. It's just being paranoid that there is some stupid driver who will not follow the traffic light, so I might get killed.
Totoo.
So we cannot just depend on yung, yan na yung naka-red na eh, naka-green na, pwede na maglakad. You just have to be aware.
Tingin pa rin.
Paranoia also. Paranoia, di ba? Parang eto na yung ilan na yung mga motorsiklo drivers na hindi tumitingin, tapos pag nabundol ako, kasalanan ko pa. Alam mo sa Pilipinas, sa BGC lang at sa Olonga po ang sa Subic na nire-respeto yung mga pedestrians eh. Pero
meron naman din sa iba, no? Meron din naman. Pero syempre,
kasi may mga signs kasi sa BGC na
malinaw, no?
Para ang priority pedestrian is. That's why if a taxi or some other I've seen it. I mean, I've heard stories also of when you're walking the pedestrian lane and then a taxi would just yung hard stop kasi nga uunahan ka pa, alam mo yun? Yung nakikipag-unahan ka pa sa and then they would slam on the taxi drivers
hood. The hood.
And then talagang get angry because I'm crossing the road here, man, crossing the road. And then yung mga guards, the police in the BGC area, talo yung taxi or talo yung, again, what is that? It's the driver was not aware of the rules. Not reading the signs. Ayan naman. I mean, again, out of courtesy, pag naglalakad na si Lola, alam nga businahan mo pa, di ba?
Actually, ang sabi is, pag tumapak yung tao sa pedestrian lane, right of way na siya. Tapak
Australia
pala.
lang yan.
Hindi. Nakalagay sa kumuha ko ng license eh.
Ganun ba? Nasa law ba yun?
Oo.
Hindi ko alam yan. Salamat. Oo.
Pag tumapak pala
pero
ang tao.
Sa Australia, yung kunwari nasa sidewalk ka tapos nilagay mo lang yung paa mo doon, nasa ere pa lang, ang cars are slowing down ulit. Yes. Kaya nga pwede ka mag-troll eh.
Air pala.
Balik-balik kayo. Siguro pwede ka namang businahan doon. Well, at least you made, sa atin, yung realities, tama ka, pag paapak pa lang, dapat tumigil na. But marami talagang hindi aware sa law. So again, we have to be paranoid. Kasi nga, baka nga kasalanan ng driver, pero ikaw naman yung nabundol, panalo ka sa kaso, pero bali-bali nga buto mo.
Sakit naman.
So, sakit naman nun. Kaya nga, you just have to be You just have to balance your paranoia with knowledge, because knowledge is
Education.
power,
Education.
according to Ernie Baron. Pare. That's why when Kim Atienza took over, that's just a little bit of trivia. He needed to continue to educate us with stuff,
Stuff,
and that's very
animals.
helpful. Kasi nga, knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is
Oh,
power.
I'd like to thank you so much, Sid, for giving us this opportunity. Ano to I have series of vlogs also, like regarding career development and personal development. So this is one of them. Thank you again, Sid, for your time and your knowledge, especially your expertise, to share to our students. And hopefully they could get, they're able to, learn and grow from this, that they might have this opportunity to become someone like you.
Thank you, Ricky, for the invitation. So it's such a privilege to.
Again, we would like to thank Mr. Sid Garcia for his time, his expertise, and his encouragement. I hope you learned a lot from this vlog. Please watch our next vlogs in the following weeks. Please like and share this to your family and friends. Also, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification button so that you will be the first one to know when I upload a new video. Now, if you have topics for me you wish to discuss, leave me a message in the comment section below. Okay? As Warren Buffett would say, the best investment is the investment you make on yourself. See you on our next vlog, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, Sir Ricky and Mr. Sid Garcia. Thank you so much for that enlightening and educational filled information and data privacy. We'd like to greet all our participants. Good morning to everyone, and we hope you're having a wonderful and educational morning. All right, so we are proceeding to our next speaker of the day. Our next speaker will be discussing an important subject matter which we in the IT course and other relating course will benefit from. All right. Oh, by the way, we would like to remind everyone to please sign up, register via Google Forms. Don't forget to register via Google Forms. The link is on the post that is on our Facebook group. Please register there if you would like to receive your e-certificate for this webinar. All right. So, going on, our next speaker is someone we may have met in our community. He is going to be discussing something which we all should know about. He is, let me give you an idea. He is someone you've known, all right, and he is the MIS officer at Timex Colleges. Presently, one of our faculty members in the College of Computer Studies. He's a graduate of DS Computer Science. Received a prestigious award as Programmer of the Year for 2016. And if you've had the chance to be his student, you will agree he is an amazing professor, very understanding of situations, and I tip my hat to you, sir. Let us all welcome, give a round of applause, and listen to one of our professors, Mr. Alfred Valdez. Okay, while we are waiting for the... Okay, again, reminder, please go through the Google Forms, Register there if you want your e-certificate for this event. Also, do not forget to please change your name. When we say change your name on Zoom, it's like the nickname on Messenger. Please change your name. I am seeing a lot of names on the chat box along with your email addresses. Participants, we will only be sending e-certificates to those who registered for the event. Again, you must be registered via the Google Forms in order to receive your certificate. All right? So let us go ahead and welcome our wonderful, awesome, amazing Sir Alfred Valdez as he talks about system, hardware, and administration roles.
Mga ginagawa niya sa industry. Good day to our viewers. So I would like to welcome you to this webinar called Introduction to System Administration. So this webinar will topic about what is system administration, what is the role of a system administrator, ano ba yung mga ginagawa niya sa industry. If you are a senior high school student na gusto mag-IT in the future, you will learn from this webinar. So, system administration deals with networking, hardware troubleshooting, and many more, no? So, hindi konting programming din, but not all times that you will program or do softwares. Marami din namang alternative sa IT industry when it comes to careers. So, one of them is being a system administrator. So, meron pang isa, we call that the MIS or the Management of Information Systems. So they deal with the operations of the company. So you will help them in their businesses to thrive or to strive more on what they can achieve through technological means. Okay? So ano ba si system administrator? So in this webinar, so by the way, I am Mr. Alfred Valdez, also a faculty in Trimex Colleges from the College of Computer Study. So I would like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to give this kind of webinar. So, syempre, pandemic ngayon, alam naman natin lahat yon, no? But everyone relies on digital. So, system administrators, they are the ones who are behind the scenes. Kung may frontliners tayo, para sa mga nagagamot, so meron naman mga system administrators para to keep us in check on the telecommunications, the servers na ginagamit natin para makapag-communicate tayo in different platforms like Facebook, Messenger, Zoom, etc. No? So, sila yung mga nagmamanage nun para hindi nagkakaroon tinatawag na downtime. So, downtime yun yung nasisira yung system or hindi natin sila magagamit. Okay, so objectives of this webinar. So we will explore the world of system administration or a life of a sysadmin, system administrator. So yung mga tao yon. So we need to list the duties and responsibilities of the system administration or administrator. So list the skill set required for being or to become a system administrator. And sometimes list a few personality traits of a typical sysadmin. So yung mga ugali nila, ano ba yung ugali ng mga sysadmin when you are encountered one. Okay, so in a small company, the sysadmin may be the entire information technology staff. Okay? If your company is 50 to 100, kaya na ng isang tao yun. Or it can be the system administrator himself. Kasi pag system administrator ka, you wear many hats. So marami kang sombrerong suot. So pwede ka maging security engineer or security administrator on a Monday, database administrator naman sa Tuesday, network admin sa Wednesday ng umaga, tapos web admin naman sa hapon. So ang daming role ng isang system administrator. So sometimes, most of the time you will spend your time in monitoring networks and servers to lessen or to mitigate risk or downtimes. So, intrusion detection, mga ganun. So, most of the time, nakatingin ka lang sa mga monitors para makita natin yung mga issues ng network, ng servers, and anything. No? So, but uh, most naman, ginagawa nila is telephones, telephone line, yung mga IP telephones, fax machines. Although luma na kasi yung mga fax machines, but may mga company pa rin naman na gumagamit niyan. Like, a very old company that relies on fax machine. So, most executives of that company, siguro ginagamit pa nila yung fax dahil doon sila nasanay. So, hindi sila marunong gumamit ng file sharing, yung mga advanced na or modern na file sharing na ginagawa ngayon. O fax machine kasi doon sila nasanay ng panahon nila. So hanggang ngayon, dapat may marunong pa rin gumawa niyan kasi may mga company pa na gumagamit niyan. So example, in Canada, or I believe in Canada or any kung anong country man yun, they have a server that runs on a very very old programming language. I think it's Fortran and COBOL. That was back from the 60s, 70s na programming language. In modern days, wala na kasi nagagamit nun. So, yung server nila, yun yung nagra-run na code. So, naghanap sila ng mga programmers for that particular server. Walang tumugon or walang kumuha ng job because wala na kasi nag-aaral nun. And they offered millions of dollars para lang may gumawa nung system nila or no server na yun. So, yun, ganun na example. Kahit luma na yung technology kasi most naman or even ATM machines, ginagamit pa nila yung Windows XP until 2011, 2012 and some ATM machines ngayon, Windows 7 pa rin ang gamit. So alam naman natin, tinanggal na ng Microsoft yung support on those particular operating systems, 'di ba? So kailangan pa rin may nag-aaral ng mga technologies na yan. So in a typical IT course, a 4-year degree na program, matatakil yung mga subject na yan in hardware and software management. So that is one characteristics or knowledge that you need when you have to or kung gusto niyo maging system administrator. And most of the time, if you are in the field, you will fix computers or computer management in general. So the sysadmin may have to order the supplies, deal with users, develop software, and repair hardware. So bilang sysadmin, ikaw yung nakakaalam kasi ng mga technological items or yung i-inventory sa company, no. So let's say kailangan natin ng ganito, kailangan natin ng ganyan. Anong alam ng mga executives mo? Anong alam ng ibang or mga non-technical personnel? So ikaw yung system administrator. Ikaw yung nakakaalam kung kailangan ba talaga o hindi. So when you do that, so of course you will use the company's financials para maka-purchase ng mga ganong item, no? So, syempre, you need to spend or to isiping maigi para lang talagang tama ba yung bibilihin na materials for your implementation. 'Di ba? So, syempre, yung na lesser note naman, like let's say naubos na yung keyboards ng mga tao nagkakanda sira-sira kasi yan, di ba? So, syempre, ang electronic device, may lifespan yan, etc. Or even internals na isang PC. So, ikaw yung namamahala doon kung ano yung mga o-orderin and what you think is best. Ang tawag kasi namin dyan is the bang for the buck. So, what is the best uh, hardware to purchase at this time. So, may mga suppliers na pare-parehas na maganda naman, but they have different deals. So, for every season, ibig sabihin, pipiliin mo yung supplier na maganda yung deal nung panahon na kailangan nyo yon. So, every season, iba-iba yan. And sa technology, ang bilis magbago ng technology. Imagine, nag-start lang ang multi-processing 2008, 9, dual cores. Ngayon, 11th generation na ng Intel processor. So, then may kalaban na sila ngayon, yung AMD micro devices. Diba? So, napakabilis magbago ng trend sa technology. So, another thing is deal with users. Of course, you are the sysadmin. Lahat ng ginagawa ng mga user sa computer, dapat alam mo. Alam mo yung ginagawa nila doon. Or sometimes you have to go to the logs para lang makita kung anong naging error bago nangyari yung sakuna na nasira yung unit niya, di ba? And of course, you are sometimes develop software depende sa role mo and also repair hardware if you are a field technician. So dapat may knowledge ka on both hardware and software. Okay? So ito yung some roles that you can do or be in the industry of information technology. Number one is the security administrator. So, si security admin, ito yung namamahala sa intrusion detection para hindi ma-hack yung company or yung institution. The database admin secures all data. So, they work hand in hand in large companies. So, yung security kasi ng database, sometimes you need to consult a security admin. So, may network administrator naman. So, siya yung namamahala sa buong internal network or local area network ng isang company or institution. So, when someone like the programmer requests network access to connect to a database server, so the programmer needs to ask permission first for the network administrator at syempre doon sa database admin natin para makakonect siya sa database, di ba? Yung mga developers. And then meron namang web administrator, so siya yung namamahala ng mga web servers, websites ng company, and what are sometimes he recommends on how to develop the system or the websites themselves and then relay that to the programmer or kung sino man yung gumagawa ng software for that company. So, yung pinaka-boss, ang tawag sa kanya sysadmin. So, lahat ng access nasa kanya. So, sometimes he is the superior of these four jobs or four roles, di ba? So, yun yung system administrator. So, siya, kaya niya may alam dapat siya. Hindi naman lahat. May alam siya dito para pag nag-usap tong dalawang to, nagkakaintindihan sila, di ba? So, si database admin, dapat may alam siya sa database, sa web, sa network, tsaka sa programming, kahit konting programming. Okay. So, syempre, ikaw yung may access sa lahat bilang system administrator. Dapat alam mo yung nangyayari sa lahat, sa buong system ng company, yung ecosystem na ginagamit ninyo. So, in a large company naman, ang setup, maybe one member of a large group, it may be responsible for one aspect of the data center operation. So, sometimes may mga programmers, yun nga, database admin, network admin, and sometimes the operators itself. So, may not even know what the CEO looks like. Kasi nga, busy sila sa trabaho nila. So, they are very busy with their job. Sometimes they forget yung mga yung mga mukha ng kasama nila, no. So, mga sysadmin kasi, most of the time they spend thinking on upgrades, updates, patches, what to do, how to do this, what's the best way to implement things. So they work around the clock. Kasi yung implementation sa isang, let's say mag-implement ka ng isang process, hindi basta-basta yon. So, medyo lengthy. At the same time, you need to talk to many persons for the right persons pala. You need to talk to the right person for for your implementation to go smoothly. So, that's another topic. So, kung software ang pinag-uusapan, alam naman natin, sa mga IT students na, no, meron tayong tinatawag na software development life cycle. O yung mga nagtitesis dyan, dapat kabisado nyo ng SDLCs. So, may waterfall method, may rapid application development. So, yung mga ganon. So, a sysadmin is a customer service agent. Yes. You must have the traits of a customer service agent. So, be patient enough to communicate with other persons, sometimes your customers. Pag may hindi sila naiintindihan, talk to them nicely. Kung email man yan, treat the email as is, with respect, and as if you, wag kayong, as, in general naman, no, wag kayong mag-email na at parang sila pa yung, let's say, busy ka, parang sila pa yung ano yung nanghihingi ng oras sa'yo. So, be patient enough to have a good response to your customers, di ba? So, number two, the sysadmin must be able to communicate with technical and non-technical users. So, in the IT world, maraming jargons and non-technical users. So, if you are a developer or a sysad, no, you are going to demonstrate the new system to the users, non-technical users, let's say sa sales. Ito kasing example, yung example conversation. Ito kasing form na to, diba? So, form pa lang, hindi na alam ng mga non-technical users kung ano yun. So, itong form na to, gumagamit to ng for loop, ng do while, para i-query sa database natin at hahanapin niya yung specific query na yon na may where statement, tapos ibabalik niya sa form using an API para mailabas yung sinearch mo. So, ang daming technical jargons. So, hindi nila maiintindihan yung mga pinagsasabi mo. So, parang nonsensical sa side nila. Hindi nila ma-appreciate yun, gawa ng hindi nila naiintindihan. So, you must know how to talk to also talk with non-technical users. Diba? If you're a technical person, think of a way para maintindihan nila yun. Yung particular part of the software para maayos ng maigi or mai-execute nila ng maigi yung particular forms. So that is administrator also needs to be patient and have a sense of humor. So do not take your job too seriously. Walang masyadong take it seriously but not too seriously, 'di ba? So tawa-tawa lang tayo minsan, make a joke or kasi sa IT naman yung mga joke ng IT minsan sila lang nakakaintindi kasi nga may mga technicalities na involved eh. And the next trait should be assist admin must be able to solve difficult technical problems. Yes. Sometimes you need to explain to your users or to your executives or higher ups, mga boss ninyo, na some problems cannot be solved within days, weeks, sometimes it takes months. You need to come up with a plan to mitigate that particular risk or sometimes isolate the risk or remove the risk in general. So may mga problema kasi na high risk na kayang sumira ng company or kayang patumbahin yung company, they brought down. As a sysadmin, your decisions must be the one that will benefit the company the most. So isang maling decision nyo lang can lead to a disaster when you cannot solve a very technical problem. So sometimes it takes months and years. May mga years naman. Pero not all, di ba? So the sysadmin must be able to work in a group setting. Yes. You always talk to the right person in order for your implementation, kung ano mang klaseng implementation yan, a new process to use the software or a new software to introduce, you must talk to the right person para maganda ang implementation. Right? So, wag kung sino-sino yung kakausapin. Talk to the right person. So, kung may, let's say, sa sales ang gagawin natin, talk to the users itself or their higher ups, their executives. Diba? So, lastly, the sysadmin must document activities in order to reproduce results. So, sometimes, when a bug occur on the production, nagkabag bigla, no? Nasa production na yung system, yung software, ginagamit na ng lahat. I mean, na-detect na bug, may error. Minsan, ang ginagawa dyan, may ticketing system kasi sa mga IT department eh. Pag nagkaroon ng bug, may ticket yan, and then i-relay yan no, kung sino man, let's say, yung, yung sysad na, kunyari, sysad, i-relay niya sa programmer, uy, may bug, ikaw yung naka-assign dyan, please check this. Kung kaya ayusin na mabilisan, please do. Ganon. And then, also, you must ask for a document. Sometimes you must do a documentation on how to reproduce that particular result or bugs nga in our topic now. Yung programmer, manghihingi ka din sa kanya ng documentation on how that particular bug occur. So para pag nangyari ulit, alam niyo na yung gagawin natin. Alam na ninyo yung gagawin ninyo. Okay? So those particular document can help the next one that will take your role kung sakali mga alis ka na sa company. Matutulungan mo yung mga panibagong administration para malaman nila yung history ng particular system na ginagamit na yun nila. Okay? So, kasi minsan, every 5 years, ina-archive na yung system or pinapalitan siya. If proven na hindi effective, may ganun case. Pag hindi proven na effective ang isang system, in-overhaul, tinatanggal siya. And, bilang system administrator, you are the one who is tasked to identify those or to decide whether what must go or what must stay or remain. Ano bang ginagawa ng mga system admin? Number one, they plan and manage the machine room environment or the server room. So design machine room, specify cooling, cabling, power connections, and environmental controls like fire, alarm, and security. So, syempre, bilang sysad, you must have your on-site equipment or the server room. You must plan on what to use, what network equipments that will be in there, what kinds of server, and many more. Of course, firewalls, later on, makita natin kung ano yung mga yan. Security protocols, kung sino lang yung pwedeng pumasok at hindi. So, policy management naman yon. So, next is install and maintain operating system software. So, alam naman natin, in the IT world, all hardware runs in an operating system. So, maintain applications for users and patch mga patches. Kung may bug man, small bug, let's patch this, let's patch that. So, you are the one responsible for that. Determine hardware and software prerequisites with patches, which service to provide, and which services to disable for specific user. So let's say a user only does Microsoft Word. Di Microsoft Word lang i-enable natin sa kanya. Word processing software lang i-enable natin sa kanya. Yung service na yun lang available sa kanya. Yung may programmer. So, syempre, bilang programmer, number one, nahirap na mag-program. No? Of course, sometimes, you have to decide whether he's allowed to browse the internet for references, but not. So, depende ko anong service yung i-enable natin para sa mga users natin, di ba? Okay? So next. So the next thing that was in task for system administrators are schedule downtimes to perform upgrades, patches, and test device schedules. Schedule downtime to manage devices. So yung downtime na sinasabi dyan, everyone on the company will have no access to the network or the servers themselves. Bilang sysadmin, you are tasked to schedule a downtime. Hindi ka pwede basta-basta mag-shutdown ng production. Pag ginawa natin yon, ang daming madadamay. Sometimes, unscheduled downtime nangyayari yon. If kailangan naman, if you know that if you think, your intuition thinks na kailangan na talagang ayusin to for the sacrifice of some production use, pwede naman. But you have to justify to the executives why and how nangyari yung particular unscheduled downtime na yon. Nangyari naman siya, although syempre bilang sysadmin, you need to schedule everything. So let's say may new network equipments na dumating. Papalitan natin yung mga luma. So sabihin sa buong company, magme-message, mag-email kung ano man. We will schedule a downtime for 1 hour in this particular segment of the building for system upgrade. So nangyayari sa atin 'yan. Like even in higher companies like Globe, nagda-down ng GCash, even Google nagda-down siya for matter of hours. So dapat mabilis pagka unscheduled downtime, dapat mabilis ang pag-aayos. Like what happened in Converge ngayong taon lang ata or last year. Nasiraan sila ng equipment, parang ilang araw ata sila nawalan ng internet or nawalan ng internet yung mga tao. So yung tinatawag na unscheduled na downtime. So yung mga hindi inaasahan. Let's say, yun nga, pumutok or may sumabog na power supply and then nadamay yung isang segment ng network, so isang bayan, walang internet. Ang masama doon, ang nangyari pa sa kanila, central server yung bumigay, so buong Pilipinas ata na wala ng internet. Diba? So, yung mga ganun, dapat mabilisan ng response. Sometimes mitigate them or remove the risk completely. So, install and maintain user accounts, yes. Madalas nangyari to on my experience. Lagi nakakalimutan yung mga password nila. Sir, paliset na lang ng password. Nakalimutan ko na. Diba? So, yun nga, you have to have the patience. Bilang IT, alam natin na marami tayong tools para mag-maintain ng usernames and passwords. So, non-technical users, you have to be patient with them because they may not know about that, or sometimes you can teach them how to maintain their accounts. So, kasi, yung ganyan, para sa akin, they are small things but annoying, di ba? Pero wala tayong magagawa. Sabi nga natin, you have to have the patience. So, wala tayong magagawa kundi sagutin yung inquiry about their accounts. Next is to develop acceptable usage or use policy and login name policy. On some servers like Microsoft Windows Server, may tinatawag tayo na ADDC, Active Directory. So, yung Active Directory na yon, yun yung nagme-maintain lahat ng accounts ng users. So, sometimes you are the one who will set their name and kung paano lang yung kung hanggang saan lang yung privilege nila to use to use the particular computer. So, determine password change policies. So, ano ba yung mga password change policies? Kailan ba pwede mag-change ng password? Ano-anong password yung pwedeng gamitin? Dito, medyo sensitive ang mga user. I suggest na lang no, that if you want to become a system administrator, I suggest na do not use your personal password. You set a policy na please do not set your personal password to your corporate accounts. Kasi wala tayong choice bilang system administrator. Kailangan natin makita yung password nila, 'di ba? Kasi nga kailangan na para ma-determine natin kung ano man yung pwedeng gawin sa account nila, kung para recover pa ba or talagang i-recommend na change password. di ba? So next is to install, configure and manage name services and manage licenses. Ito isa sa pinakamahirap, manage licenses. In a corporate world, when you use pirated or non-licensed na softwares, pwede kang makasuhan or magkaroon ng fine from the optical media board or any company that deals with that. So since you are a business, you must recommend na all softwares must have a license. Okay? So next is to determine disk quota. So sa naman to sa file servers. Police or manage disk spaces and monitor log files. So dito, when the file server is getting bigger, of course, maraming users ang nagsisave, you must make a policy on what kinds of files are going to be saved or put on the disk management or the disk. So if you are using a cloud server, ganoon din naman. So alam na maraming cloud server ngayon na nag-offer ng unlimited unlimited na space. So syempre bilang sysad, kailangan sabihan natin yung mga user na hindi lahat ng personal files mo pwedeng mo ilagay diyan. Although hindi natin mamo-monitor 'yon. Depende 'yon sa company na nagpo-provide ng cloud storage sa inyo. But once kasi na nilagay nila yung mga files nila diyan at wala silang backup at winipe out na natin yung or let's say umalis sila, matatanggal yung account nila, yung access nila sa files nila mawawala na din, 'di ba? So another task of a sysadmin is to train users on software and securities. So yung tinutukoy na security dito is information assurance. How will how will the confidential files will remain confidential or within the premise of that particular company or corporation, di ba? So yung users training naman sa software, yes, you are the one who is assigned to train newly developed softwares or newly acquired, yung mga bibili na lang na uh, ERPs or enterprise na mga softwares like SAP, Oracle, mga ganon. So you have to train the users on how to use that. So ensure that users have access to documentation. Yes, every time you acquire a software or develop a software, you must provide documentation on how to use those software. Even Microsoft Word, dapat may documentation yan because not all users na uupo sa isang computer know how to use your corporate approach in doing your business processes, di ba? So next is to help users provide help desk support and problem tracking system to answer their questions. So yung binanggit ko kanina na ticketing systems, they are the ones responsible for tracking questions or looking or reporting bugs or errors on the system. So maganda yung may process kasi for problem tracking eh. Diba? So yung in most companies ginagamit nila is yun nga mga ticketing system or para ma-address yung mga errors and softwares. So last is configure network services like print servers. Later on, may kita natin kung ano yung mga print servers. So we will talk also about servers later on. File sharing, name services, determine file sharing needs and printing policies, and manage security for shared resources. Yan, yung information assurance yan on how to assure the security of files. Kung confidential files, it will remain confidential. If private files, it will remain private. If public document, it will remain public. Next is install, maintain systems, hardware, and drivers. So specify supported devices, determine spares practices. When a user requests for a software, let's say nag-request siya ng Adobe Photoshop or ng Adobe Premiere, ang gamit niya Windows 7, of course, you have to determine if that kung ano yung babagay doon sa computer niya or mali, kung ano yung papasok na version doon sa computer niya, 'di ba? So another thing, if he request uh, a graphics pen or a graphics tablet, yeah, that's a hardware. You need to specify or you need to know whether if yun yung request niya ay papasok ba sa computer niya or kung may supported pa ba yung drivers na yon sa version na ginagamit niya ng operating system. Okay? So next is to install, configure, manage web servers. Although this is most on technical sides, configure web access agents, 'di ba? So web servers are kinds of servers that handle sometimes wide area networking, and on the lesser note naman, yun yung mga websites lang na may front end and then may back end. So business apps, so configure and maintain business apps. We have the mail agents, MX servers or email servers. If you have a corporate email, you are the one responsible for those, the account creation, account deactivation, etc., etc. Calendar software, they are linked sometimes with the HR or the human resource department because they are the ones scheduling kung ano man yung magiging events ng company. Wala kasing pakialam ang sysad doon. So, if you have a calendar software, you must relay that always to the human resource kasi sila yung nag-schedule kung may seminar ba, kung ano yung mangyaring ganitong araw, ano yung mga memorandums na i-release ganitong araw, payroll, mga ganun. Important dates. Order or problem tracking software, yun nga. So, discuss earlier na we need to have or you need to implement a problem tracking software like ticketing systems. So, if you want to install an email software, so madali na ngayon kasi i-set up yan. We have now the G Suite. In G Suite, yung Gmail doon, pwede mong incorporate yung domain mo o yung example, meron kang abc.com at pwede kang kumonek sa G Suite para, let's say, trimex at abc.com yung email. Custom email siya. So, ikaw yung mamamahala dyan sa mail transfer agents, yun. MX services yun. Mail readers, para mag-connect sila. Or may nakaka-send at may nakaka-receive. Configure and manage system security. Yes, of course, security sa pinakamahirap na trabaho bilang sysadmin is yung security. So once na na-intrude kasi yung system, the whole building or the whole corporation is compromised na. Read security mailing and cert notification, mga certificates, digital certificates. Install and configure firewalls, yes. So sometimes there are two kinds of firewalls kasi eh. May hardware firewall, tsaka may software firewall. If you are in a large company, you should invest on a hardware one to that's your first line of defense, yung mga firewall na yan, for intrusions. Because they set policies. Nagsiset sila ng mga policy for ano yung ipe-permit pumasok at ano yung hindi pwede makapasok na data na packets in networking yun. So, software limits intruders yun nga, yung access. So, second line of defense is the software firewall. So, i-install yan sa mga client computers or host computers para may security din yung mga users natin. So, syempre sila din, hindi sila makakagawa ng illegal things on their personal computers kapag may firewall sila na naka-on. So, kung ano yung mga illegal things na yon, depende na sa kanila yon, diba? So, number one example is illegal downloading of files. Next is collect evidence in case of successful intrusion and cleanup after intrusion. So, kapag na-intrude yung system, you must gather the evidences to prove na kayo nga ay na-hack. Paano malalaman yon? Sometimes a very good hacker doesn't leave his tracks. Hindi sila nagpapahuli. So, sa pinakamahirap na trabaho yan. security administrator. At maraming certification, mahirap din pa sa yung mga certifications niyan to be certified as a network security expert. Okay? So, configure and maintain connectivity between hosts. So, sabi ko kanina, most of the time, you are going to look at a screen just to monitor the network downtimes or kung saan mang server magkakaroon ng error. So, monitor network connectivity between host computers, between client computers, troubleshoot connectivity problems. Yes, so ito medyo kailangan maintindihan to ng mga tao sa loob ng company na when you are a network admin, there are two things that you can see or you can troubleshoot. If the problem is within the company, may problema sa LAN nyo, you need to reconfigure that para umayos. Or you have the field engineers or field technicians to reconfigure the settings sa network servers or sa may particular segment na nagkaka-problema. The other thing is wide area network. Sometimes sa service provider na nagkaka-problema. Or yun nga, ano ba yung mga service provider natin? Alam na natin lahat yon. Kilala na natin sila. So, kaya pag bumabagal ng internet ang pinag-uusapan, sometimes misconfiguration lang yan or may problema sa ISP. Or in rare cases, or most cases, sobrang dami ng users. Yan. Like, may sa isang company na maluwag, no? May personal computer ka, may laptop ka pa, and then may cellphone ka ba? That's already 3 devices on the network. And all network have their limits for an local area network. So, yung 3 devices na yon kumakain ng bandwidth. At pag na-congest na yung bandwidth, or puno na yung, ang dami nang gumagamit, bumabagal talaga ang network, 'di ba? So, you as a system administrator, dapat alam natin or mag-set tayo ng policy for usage of devices. Okay? And that leads us to number 3 na explain ko na, investigate complaints of poor response. In order to investigate complaints of poor responses, you need to troubleshoot connectivity problems. Yung mga sinabi ko kanina, ganun. See if it is a misconfiguration. See if it is from the service provider. Or number 3, the network cannot handle the hosts or napakadami na kumo-connect based on your policy na dapat existent at dapat nasusunod. Okay? Next, the next role of a system administrator is to configure and maintain system backups. Determine backup strategies and policies. Configure backup software. So, ito lang naman yung mga backup na weekly backup, monthly backup, tsaka yearly backup. So, syempre, ipipili bilang isang sysadmin, alam na natin kung ano yung mga files na i-backup. Kasi, backups takes spaces too. In fact, sometimes they double up the spaces. Kasi, you need to archive them and then if someone needs access to the archives or the backups, i-access pa rin natin siya, di ba? So, we need to check also the integrity and determine disaster survival plans. So, ano yung mga disaster survival plans? Ito yung mga acts of God or acts of nature. Let's say, bumagyo, nagkaroon ng lindol, nasunog yung building, nakidlatan. Diba? So, di natin masasabi. So, you need to determine disaster survival plans for your files. So, let's say may cloud server ka, may local backup ka, nasira yung local backup, may cloud server ka pa din. Paano pag nagsara yung company, yung cloud backup, di wala na, di ba? So, dapat may local server ka ba din? May offshore backup pa nga tinatawag na kung saan naglalagay ka pa sa mga individual drives. Also, you need to perform restores kung paano magre-restore ng mga files, di ba? You need to know how to perform or what to restore sa mga files. Okay? Okay, next. And so that troubleshoot and repair problems and determine, uh, locate and repair or replace problem components. So sabi nga natin kanina, you are responsible for the inventory of the whole company bilang bilang system administrator. So when a system unit is already damaged and has lived out of its lifespan, may lifespan ng electronic component. So we consider it as, sabihin na natin 5 years. So, pag 5 years na yung component at nagloloko na talaga, di na kayang ayusin, palitan na. Huwag na ipaayos ng paayos. That's nonsensical for the side of ITs. Palitan na lang kasi sobrang luma na niyan and probably it's outdated. At syempre, magkakos yan ng problema sa mga users na ang bagal, na bumabagal yung system syempre because of, sabihin na nating marami ng softwares na high yung demand for resources at di na kaya ng computer natin yun. So, pag umabot na sa lifespan or end of life na yung unit, palitan na lang. Don't try to repair. Recommend na palitan na yung mga units. So, document the system and develop, maintain documentation on the local setup and local policies. So, syempre, kahit gaano kaganda yung documentation ng system mo, kahit gaano kaganda yung design, pumasa sa alpha testing, pumasa sa beta testing, nasunod yung waterfall method, nasunod yung rapid application development, walang policy kung paano gamitin. Diyan lumalabas yung user's error, yung human error. So, sa testing ninyo, from alpha to beta to test environment to production release, tinesting nyo 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, sa lahat ng technical, 1 plus 1, 2. Pagdating sa user, may na-report na bug. 1 plus 1 equals 3. Sa testing nyo lahat kayo, 1 plus 1 equals 2. Pagdating sa user, 1 plus 1 equals 3. So because sometimes you didn't set the policy on how to use the system. You must know the traditional way on how they do processes on their companies, and then you will use those policies para gumawa ng new method or the technical way of implementing things. So, yun yung magiging guidelines mo. Yung mga local policies nila para mai-accommodate doon or ma-incorporate pala doon sa gagawin nating system. So, kung na-violate man nila yung policy, so, problema na nila yon, 'di ba? Yan. Next. So, what are the skills required to be a system administrator? Of course, you must have proper delegation skills. Kanino mo ba ibibigay yung problemang to kapag nagkaroon? I-delegate mo sila. Who will do who will do this job? Who will do that? Of course, time management, ethics. You must know proper ethics based on company policy also. Yes, the ability to create and follow policies, kaka-explain lang natin, and procedure. Even though most personnel at nangyayari to, don't follow the traditional policy of the company, hindi ibig sabihin susundin mo rin sila. You must stick on what is written on the policy and do not violate your own policy. Kahit sino pa yan. Pag na-violate ang isang policy, parang nawawalan kasi ng saysay, di ba? Ginawa pa yung policy na yan para lang i-violate. Napakapangit naman nun. So, encourage everyone to follow the policy kasi nga, that would be the guideline when you develop a software. At yung mga overrides on software, sometimes, napakahirap nun. Kasi doon nasisira ang software in some cases na pag hindi siya pasok sa specification and then pinilit natin, wala tayong magagawa, di ba? Nag-override tayo eh. Ang policy ganito lang, hanggang dito lang. So, nasisira ang system doon. Nagkakaroon talaga ng problema. Patsi-patsi ang mangyayari nun, di ba? So, next is the desire to learn, of course. Learning is a process on which you have to know hanggang sa pagtanda natin you are learning. Yes, again, customer service attitude, the knowledge of technical aspects, so in hardware, software, and problem solving. So all of this is incorporated with the program BSIT, or much better BSCS, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. You must know the knowledge na to matatakel sa sa program na yon na BSIT at BSCS, yung knowledge about hardware, also software, and problem solving. Now, system administration is a alternative or is an alternative to programming. If you don't, sabihin na natin, hindi naman lahat nagsasucceed sa programming eh. So, may maraming alternative sa IT industry. So, number one is yung system administration na, no? Okay? So, on the next slides, we will talk about the different topics or the different server topics na ginagamit sa industry. Okay, so in this segment, we will talk about servers. So, in the industry, there are different kinds of servers that you will encounter on companies. No, first, we have a file server and print server. So a file server is the one responsible for keeping all the files inside company premises. Sometimes, or ngayon, most of the time na, companies invest on a cloud storage or a cloud file server where they can backup, quote unquote, backup their files, di ba? So, those company naman from the cloud or yung mga providers natin, they keep our privacy safe because they are the ones responsible in keeping our files, di ba? So, syempre, bumili ka ng service sa kanila. So, sila yung may ano doon, sila yung may control kung paano magba-backup yung files natin to be safe. And sometimes, yun nga, once a company shut down, lahat ng data mo mawawala din. So, yun lang yung disadvantage ng pagkuha ng cloud service provider. The next thing is what we call a print server. Yung normal na printer sa mga offices, yes, it can be incorporated with networking and anyone from the network can connect to that printer and the printer or the print server will queue the the rendered things that will go inside the print server. So, first come, first serve basis pa rin naman yon. The next thing is what we call the application server. So, this is where the executables are stored o yung mga pwedeng gamitin ng mga user ng mga applications, apps. Next is the database server. So, typical in database server lang yan on which in an IT environment, no, pwede natin mapag-aralan on how to create a database when you are enrolled or kung gusto nyo mag-enroll ng IT or computer science, may database courses dun at matututunan natin kung paano gumawa ng databases. So, ano ba yung mga databases na pwedeng gamitin? So, number one is the MS SQL or Microsoft Server SQL. Yung open source is yung MySQL. So, and many more database. May Firebase na. So, Firebase is Google's fast version of a database. So, ibang technology naman yon. So, web servers. So, dito ini-store yung mga websites. Like, uh, google.com, facebook.com. So, lahat sila naka-host or nakasakay sa isang web server. Mail servers. So, they are responsible for your emails. Maybe a public email like gmail.com or a corporate email like abc.com. So, pag gumawa kayo ng sarili nyong email server, let's say, gusto nyo may bumili kayo ng domain, pinangalanan siyang abc.com. So, pwede kayong gumawa ng sarili ninyong mail server, let's say, trimex at abc.com. So, pwede yon. So, in G Suite, sa Google, mayroon silang partnership. Pwede kang mag-link ng sarili mong domain for your business, kung ano mang klaseng business yan, family business, normal na business, high-end business, enterprises. So, pwedeng i-incorporate yung domain for your web server at the same time, pwede mong i-connect sa mail server ni services ni Google. And the last kind is what we call a hypervisor. So, a hypervisor is a virtual machine on which applicable lang siya or recommended siya for like high specification servers, yung mga matataas or pang server type talaga na computer. So, malalaking resources kasi yung kailangan yan. So, yung hypervisors or mga virtual machines, pwede kang mag-run ng operating system sa loob ng isang physical machine. So, it is or ginagamit to ng mga cloud service providers para makatipid. So, ang gagawin na lang yan is you get what you pay for. Kung bumili ka ng 2 gigabytes na server from, let's say, DigitalOcean, kung ano lang binayaran mo, yun lang magagamit mo. But the downside of that is you have to pay monthly kesa naman bumili ka ng server type mismo na computer which cost hundreds of thousands of peso. So, may both of them, on-premise na server, tsaka cloud server, uh, may both, meron silang advantages and disadvantages. Okay? So, let's start on the first kind. But first, let us recap lang for those IT students and then for those who want to learn networking. So, ito tayo sa networking basics. So, sa letter A, we have the local area network. So, it is a LAN. So, a LAN connects devices on a single site or building. So, example niyan, school network. So, wide area network or WAN. So, connects devices across a big geographical region. So, example niyan yung internet. And then letter C, we have the clients or the hosts. So, it is any user's device that is connected to a network. So, example niyan is yung PC, desktop, tablet, or anything. So, letter D are servers. So, they are powerful machines that manages different services on a network. Letter E are switches. So, they are smart devices that connects multiple hosts or clients. So, they manage the traffic or control data in a network. So, letter F is a hub. So, hub is a basic networking tool but nowadays, hindi na sila masyadong ginagamit. So, si hub and switch, they are sometimes interchangeable or sa mga baguhan but they are different devices. Si switch is more intelligent than a hub. Siguro kasi nga, kapag nag-send ka ng data from your computer to another computer, si switch yung nagmamanage nun. So, kayong dalawa lang yung nag-uusap doon. Kapag hub, yung ginamit na networking material or networking medium, binobroadcast kasi niya sa lahat ng host. Let's say, nag-send ka ng data sa lahat ng host natin, nare-receive nila yon, di ba? So, that's why a switch is more intelligent kasi nare-record niya yung, let's say, yung address ng machine A and then isa-send niya sa machine B, yung dalawang yun lang yung magkaka-receivean. So, si hub, binobroadcast niya kasi sa lahat yan. Okay? So, next. So, let us go to servers. So, sabi nga natin, there are different kinds of servers. May file server, login server, or email server. So, ito yung isang example or typical setup ng isang server in a server room. So, this is a rack server. No? So, may monitor. Yan. May networking devices. May NAS server to storage server to. And then, kung ano mang klaseng mga nakasakay na server dito. So, mga blade type na server to. And then, other types of networking equipments. Okay, so next. So, this is a hardware that also runs special server software to manage services. So of course, special hardware requires also special softwares. So pag marami na sila at isang data center na, ito na yung itsura ng isang data center na typically for large enterprise companies na to. So yan, itsura niyan. So may mga networking equipments, hardware, software, hardware services, like web servers, storage servers, and then file servers. So ito yung isang blade type na server. Yan yung itsura nila. So para lang silang typical na computer pero special purpose kasi sila. So dedicated sila for handling multiple tasks. Unlike a general purpose computer na desktop, ginagamit natin for everyday computing. Ito ang kino-compute nito, napakalaking data at napakaraming o napakalaking resources ang kailangan niya. So special purpose kasi sila. So next, meron tayong diagram on how a server works. So these are our clients yan, mga clients yan. So typical desktop computers. So a computer or a server client setup requires a medium to work. So isa lang naman na medium sa networking. Isa lang ang medium sa ganong setup. It is called computer networking. So ito yung server natin. It can be any server, a file, a print, an email. So as you can see on the label, may server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4. So ito yung network server. Kasama siya dyan. So client devices. So isa silang local area network. So lahat sila connected sa isa't isa. So local area network ang tawag nun. So may mga wireless devices din tayo. Yan. So they cannot connect physically using an Ethernet cable, but they use wireless technology. So Wi-Fi ang ginagamit na technology dyan. So etong mga to, mga clients natin, they communicate to the server. Let's say, ito magsisend ng file sa server. Ito images, and then music, and then kung ano mang let's say intrusion to or malicious files. So pwede din silang mag-send ng data. So packets, or ito yung, ang packets kasi sa networking, they are the data bits. Yung data natin kino-convert siya into packets sa networking para yung nagiging nagiging way para mag-communicate yung mga computer. Packets ang tawag natin doon. Yan, data packets. So, sinesend yon sa over the network. Marireceive ni server. Same goes with here. Kino-convert siya into bits, into data packets. So, send sa server. Even malicious files, pwede yon. They are still files. Kahit malicious files yan. Yan. So, lahat sila pwede magkapag-communicate sa server interchangeably. So, si server pwede mag-respond. Si client pwede mag-send. So, meron ditong hub. And then may switch. Although, kahit wala na yung hub dito, pwedeng sa setup yan. So, may mga wireless access points tayo. Yan, sometimes router na rin sila. Wireless access points. So, ito yung nagbibigay ng Wi-Fi. Yan. So, let us discuss first kung ano klase mga server yung pwedeng mailagay dito. So, meron diyang log-on server. Sometimes, it's called captive portal na din, no? Kapag may magla-log-in na users. So, yung mga yung users database nasa log-on server. So, yung mga pwede lang maka-access sa log-on server using captive portal. Parang sa SM, yung may account pa nagagamitin. So, yung ginagamit na account sa SM, yung number mo eh. So, captive portal technology. So, ito-register ka muna nila doon para ma-login mo, para makakonect ka sa network sa Wi-Fi. So, may sign in, username and password. So, may another kind of server is file servers para makapag-send ka. And file servers. And then we have the print server. So, it requires another hardware called also a printer. So, So yung printers, pwede mong, may mga printers kasi ngayon na may Ethernet jack na at naka-network na sila. So pwede mo na sila i-connect sa switch. So may automatic, all-in-one na yung printer na mismo yung print server. So may database server, and then may web server. Okay, so yung mga database server, yun nga, yung mga MySQL, Firebase, or any kind of database server na ginagamit ng company. So, yung same simulations ang ibig sabihin yan. So, ito yung web server, and the web server hosts all the websites from the company. Or maybe internal, or pwedeng i-public, ilagay sa cloud o sa internet mismo. And then, dapat yung dalawang yan connected sa isa't isa. Ayan. Because, in programming, in website development, si front-end na web server, may kaakibat na back-end, which is our database server. So, they work together to form a functional website or any programming interface na pwedeng i-request from the web server to the database para ma-access yung mga data, syempre. So, this is a connection from the wide area network. From local area network, ito yon. So, syempre lahat naman yan, most users or most businesses, most enterprises uh, will need to connect to the internet, to the outside world, kumbaga. So, first, you need a first line of defense called a firewall. So, si firewall yung nag-enable ng kung anong ports yung pwedeng papasukin. Let's say port 80. Si port 80, that is a web server. So, pag disable natin yung port 80, hindi makakapasok yung data dito. 3306, database server. Kung gusto mo yung database server ay locally lang, so, i-on mo siya sa firewall para dito lang silang makakapasok. Pag in-enable natin yung database to access the outside world, so anyone from the internet can access your may access your database kasi nga you allow everyone to see what is your database. So i-check bilang system administrator, you will check what are the things that can be accessed outside and ano yung mga pwedeng pumasok lang na connections using ports or TCP IP ports. So those things are discussed on BSIT and BSCS courses also. So may isang server na kinokonnectan pa para ma-access. So example, web server 'yan. So assume natin na web server na 'yan google.com. If tama yung configuration natin sa mga network servers natin, pwede tayong umaccess ng google.com. So from our internal, from the external. May mail server, example nga natin yung G Suite from Google na pwede nating gamitin to act as our mail server. Then meron tayong server farm kung ano mang data yung kinokollect niyan. Okay. So file servers, they store a large number of files for an organization, any kinds of files. Also control security such as access rights to the files. Yes. Yung privilege natin para maka-access sa mga files. So nandyan yan sa database server or mali, sa file server pala. Okay, next. Yan. So finally handles backup in case of accidents or disaster. So print server, so manage the queue of documents for printing. So maraming pwedeng i-connect na printer sa isang print server and also shares the load of print queue or print requests across available devices. So they control the access to printers for users and routes documents and services. So application servers installs, updates, and controls access to programs. So they include basic apps such as word processor or emails, but specialized software such as financial stuff only. So kung ano lang yung available for that particular department, so yun lang yung i-install natin to their computer from the application server. So database server, of course, they manage the security and updates to large databases. So for example, in a school, security means controlling access to stuff. Kung ano lang yung pwedeng i-access ng mga stuffs natin on the database. So yung pinaka-back-end yun. Yun dapat yung pinaka-secured na part ng server. So sometimes, so teachers update and registers, and office staff update financial or data. So yan, mga simulations. So a web server store all files for a website, sends them when the user's browser sends request to the website. So wala namang ginagawa si web server to handle kundi to handle websites and application programming interfaces to access the database. So layer ng programming or medium siya ng communication between hosts. Yan. So ang ginagamit natin to access the internet is called a browser. Diba? So a file servers sends the or use the protocol HTTP or FTP para makapag-connect doon sa web server natin. Yan. So mail server, so yun yung mga stores and forwards emails like an electronic post office. So yun, may protocol siya na ginagamit, SMTP and POP. So sa web server, ang ginagamit nila ay FTP and HTTP to connect to the actual server. And then sa mail server naman ang ginagamit na protocol ay SMTP at POP. POP. So, yan. So, but email traffic is not immediate. So, like instant chat or messaging. So, hypervisors. So, software that allows a processor to run different operating systems. So, ayan. So, meron tayong may CPU dito, hardware na pwedeng mag-run ng hypervisor. Sabi nga natin kanina, malaking resources yung kailangan yan. So, a hypervisor can run a Linux operating system, a Windows operating system, in some cases, a Mac operating system. So, softwares like acts like a supervisor that shares resources between different operating systems. Example, memory. So, ayun yung mga iba't ibang klase ng type ng server. So, I hope may natutunan tayo sa webinar na to in server administration, and if you want to become a system administration or system administrator, diba? So, thank you for listening. So, kung gusto nyo ma-explore pa yung pag-i-install ng isang full stack na na server, so ibibigay ko lang siguro yung link sa YouTube channel ko on which I installed a Linux operating system na server para magkaroon kayo ng idea on how to set up a Linux operating system or operating server. Diba? So, okay? So, thank you for listening. So, I hope may natutunan tayo ngayong araw. Okay, bye-bye. Good day to our viewers.
Thank you so much, Sir Alfred Valdez. Thank you for sharing your knowledge about system hardware and administration roles. So, for those who are already taking this subject, that is a good backup information. I hope you took notes. And if you are going to be taking that up in the next semester or the next year, glad you watched this webinar, right? So anyway, before we continue, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of some of our administrations and faculty members from TriMex. We'd like to thank Sir Alan Lorica, Ma'am Annalyn Mendoza, Dr. Louis Agustin, Sir Ronald Amparo, Sir Albert Escovania, Sir Ricky Cruz, and Sir Richard Lozano. Thank you for coming on and watching the webinar with us. Thank you for gracing us with your presence today. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce our third speaker. As we mentioned in our last webinar, we may have three, and yes, we have three today. So today, on our last day of the webinar and our last speaker, quite powerful. Our last topic is a powerful topic, which I know people in the IT industry will learn, will venture into, and will master, as is our last speaker of the day. Now, our last speaker, he has presented us with a very long curriculum vitae. Seriously, he is decorated, if there is a word for it, in the officers of the military. He is a decorated officer. He has a doctor in information technology at the Technological Institute of the Philippines, master's in information technology from the Technological Institute of the Philippines. He is also Master of Science in Computer Engineering at the Batangas State University of the Philippines. He is also a graduate of BS Computer Engineering at the La Consolacion College of Tanawan, Batangas. He is currently working as the system administrator / programmer of La Consolacion College in Tanawan, Batangas. He is an IT consultant at the Lipa Archdiocesan Social Action Commission, system development project manager at Batyan Stanbank RD21 and LAFAC. He is formerly the IT specialist for Altar Team establishment in Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He is affiliated as a member of the Computing Society of the Philippines, a member of the Philippine Society of Information Technology Educators for Region 4A. He is a member of the Integrated Southern Tagalog Association of Information Technology Education, a member of Batangas Information Technology Society, and he has also presented numerous researches for both local and foreign. As I said, if I will read his curriculum vitae, I don't think we will be able to start this webinar soon enough. Let me introduce to you our last speaker and the most powerful topic probably for those who want to do this program. Let me introduce to you Engineer Salem M. Lailo, BIT, MIT, as he talks about Python programming.
Welcome everybody. So today we're going to discuss Python programming. I'm Engineer Salem M. Lailo, an IT faculty from La Consolacion College, Tanawan. The topic for today, so I'm going to discuss the data science, introduction to Python, installing and running Python, the different IDE for Python, basic data structures, statements, and control structures, as well as the functions. Disclaimer, guys, no professor could not give all to his or her students at once, meaning on this session, I could not just give you the full package about Python programming. You have to take the foundation to build a stronger learning. And learning is a continuous process. Helen Hayes stated that the expert at anything was once a novice. Take time to be a novice. Of course, time will come you'll be expert. And always remember, guys, that there are two G's who are always at our side. The first G, of course, which is God. And the second, alam nyo yan, as a student, we're actually making use of this G. What's that? That's Google. You're right. Our learning outcomes for this, guys. So you have to recognize, or you will be able to recognize the data science and machine learning. You will gain a thorough understanding of writing scripts with Python, learn and practice the core Python scripting elements, and use the different available IDEs for Python. Discover how to work with Python data structures, basic data structures. Use Python to read and write files or external files, as well as Python functions to facilitate code reuse. I know you're familiar with this. And for those who are beginners for programming, you will learn this also, the function. Let's begin. Data science. What's all about data science? It is very an exciting discipline, guys, that allows you to turn raw data into meaningful information. We can derive from raw data an understanding, an insight, a knowledge. Okay? We can extract a meaningful information. It is also known as data mining, the data science. It's about explaining the past, wherein we can collect the historical data, compare, and we can explain it, as well as predicting the future. In forecasting, we can derive a model, and from that model, we can perhaps predict what will be the value or what will happen to a certain instance. So this is a multidisciplinary field which combines statistics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, as well as database technology. As you can see on our diagram, at the center, we can see the data science. At the side of this, we have statistics, the AI and machine learning, as well as database and data warehousing. Why programming? Why we need to have programs? Why do we need to make programs? Programs, it is very powerful and general, meaning we can create anything that we can imagine, we can create it. Imagine, that's what we are doing today. This is a product of programming. Aside from that, or aside from this, we can hide a poem, a simple poem in a picture. Diba, tawag natin augmented reality. I know you are familiar with this, or you make fun of this, yung mga games na mayroong augmented. In Photoshop or in any photo editing, of course, yung mga programs naman yan, hindi yan basta lumabas. It was programmed, it was developed. In photo editing, we can easily remove the red eye. Okay? Now, in communication, we can make use of Messenger, Viber. So these programs are actually developed by programmers through the use of the concept of programming. We can find optimal paths in a huge maps, Waze, or even Google Map. We can make use of these things to easily see alin yung pinakamadaling daan, shortcut, ika nga. Diba? Si Waze nga, tinuturuan ka pa with audio pa yon. Okay? That's the product of programming. Now, what is the programming? This is very basic for you guys. So it is essentially a series of instructions. Yes, we know that. And these instructions are actually machine instructions. Now, in programming, why we not use English-like words or statements? Of course, in high-level programming, we use that. But we need a higher level. Diba? We need a language that is unambiguous. And that is actually Python. Python is an ambiguous programming language. Why? It is very powerful general purpose, dynamic, high-level, and interpreted programming language. It is used in web development, data science, creating software prototypes, and so on. It has a huge applications. Fortunately, for beginners like you guys, yung medyo hindi masyado gusto yung programming. Pero pag natutunan itong Python, for sure, magugustuhan nyo. You will love this, for sure. Python has a simple, easy-to-use syntax. This makes Python an excellent language to learn to program for beginners. It also supports object-oriented programming approach to develop applications. As we all know, the concept of object-oriented programming, it makes our lives very easy in making programs. So it is a programming language that lets you work quickly and integrate systems more effectively. So Python is a programming language as well as a scripting language. That's why Python is also called as an interpreted language. Why we need to learn Python? I will just give you some advantages of having Python. First, it is easy to learn and use. It is a developer-friendly and high-level programming language. As a programmer, that's why it's easy to learn. Unlike other high-level programming language, it takes some bunch of codes to create or to produce a simple task. Okay? In learning, in Python, simpleng code na lang, or even in one line, may katumbas na. Later on, I will give you, or I will show you, not more than 30 lines of code, but I can have face detection. Imagine 30 lines of code. In C or in Java, I will need series or volumes of codes yun, para makagawa ng ganon. But in Python, not more than 30 lines of code. Python. Expressive language. Python language is more expressive, means that is more understandable and readable. Okay. Like other high-level programming language. Pero mas nilevel up pa. It is an interpreted language. So Python is an interpreted. So when you say interpreted, so the interpreter executes the code line by line at a time. Okay? So bago niya ma-execute yun. So this makes debugging easy and thus suitable for beginners. So in interpreter, if you have one error or one code, okay, interpret nyo muna yun before moving or going to the next line of code. Okay, that's the concept of interpreter. Okay. Cross-platform language. Python can run equally on different platforms. Okay, different OS, different system. That's why cross-platform. So it can be run under Windows, Linux, Unix, even Macintosh. That's why we can say Python is a portable language. Free and open source. So when you say free and open source, you don't need to pay for the license. It's freely available at the official website. So you can later on I'll give you the link. So as well as the source code, you can download the source code of Python. Okay, not only the sample codes, as well as the Python itself. Okay, that's why it's open source. Diba? Pag sinabi natin open source, wala naman tayong kailangang bayaran. Object-oriented, as I mentioned, we can use or we can apply the object-oriented approach in Python. So here we have the classes and objects. So alam na natin kung ano yung concept na meron yung object-oriented. Okay? Extensible. So it implies that other languages such as C or C++ can be used to compile the code, and thus it can be used further in Python code or in our Python code. So Python has a large standard library. Okay? It has a large and broad library which provides a rich set of module and functions for rapid application development. Kaya yung sabi ko sa inyo, 30 lines of code with face detection because of functions or modules. You have to call the functions or you have to call the modules and use it. That's why object-oriented, the concept of object-oriented, don't reinvent the wheel. You know that. Okay? Reusability of codes. Okay? That's the concept. As well as GUI programming support. So meaning we have the graphical user interface we can develop under Python. And the last is integrated. So we can easily integrate with languages, with other languages like C, C++, Java, or even in web, in PHP, okay, we can have Python. Now, I just want to give you a brief history of Python. So Python, as mentioned, portable and extensible. Originally, under Unix. Yung nakakaalam ng Unix dyan, that is another platform or OS. Okay? Parang kaugat yan ng Linux. Okay? So, when you say portable, it can be from one operating system to another without any change. Okay? So, kung ano yung nilagay mo sa isang code under Windows, you can execute that in other platform, even in Macintosh or Linux. Okay? So, pwede mong lipat-lipatin. So, syntax and design promote good programming practices and surprisingly rapid development times in Python. Imagine, yung pag-create ng face detection, kung aaralin ninyo using other language, it takes time. Okay? But in Python, in one day, pwede nyo magawa yan. Okay? So, ito po ay na-invento o na-develop actually ni Guido van Rossum, okay, in Netherlands. Okay? He named this his programming language after Monty Python. Si Monty Python po ay isang komedyante. Okay? So, search na lang kay Google. Pero hindi natin masyado kilala dito. Pero sa Europe, kilala yan. Open source from the beginning. Considered as a scripting language, but it is much more scalable, object-oriented, and functional from the beginning. Ito, it is being used by Google from the beginning. That's why, pasikat siya ng pasikat. Okay. Ito po ang man behind the success of Python. Ito si Guido. Sabi niya, Python is an experiment in how much freedom programmers need. So too much freedom and nobody can read another's code. Too little and expressiveness is endangered. Yan ang yun yung prinsipyo ni Guido. Okay? Here are the resources. So ito yung website, official website, and as well as the tutorial. Aside from this, you can look for Google for other resources. Maraming magbibigay sa atin yan because it is an open source. So, even some codes or yung mga powerful codes, pwede nyo ma-download, pwede nyo ma-check, and then you can reuse that. Okay? In your concept. Kukonek nyo lang naman. Hindi naman yung kokopehin nyo talaga as is. O ano yung nakalagay sa internet, di ba? So, in Facebook, yan, marami tayong makukuhanan. Marami tayong manghihingan ng tulong, not only Google. Okay? Si Facebook nga, ginagawa na lang natin ding search engine. But, mind you guys, okay? Parehas lang naman, Google and Facebook, they are meron silang artificial intelligence. I know you have noticed that. Kung yung sinesearch mo, automatic, lalabas yan. Some other time, may mga ads na related dun sa mga sinearch mo. Okay? Google, Python yan. That's the concept of Python. Python ang ano yan, ang, uh, ang tumatakbo sa ganong artificial intelligence. So, here are some applications wherein we can apply Python. So, web, desktop, GUI applications, software development, scientific and numeric for the computations, as well as business applications, console-based applications, audio or video-based applications, yung face recognition through my webcam, we can detect yung face, 3D CAD applications, enterprise applications, as well as application for images. So meron din akong program na it can detect the objects within the picture. And then, hindi nga lang 100%, at least, na-detect niya yung mga object or objects within my picture. Now, who uses Python today? Python is being applied in real revenue-generating products by real companies. Okay? For instance, Google. So, si Google makes an extensive use of Python in its web search system and employs Python's creator. Okay? As I mentioned, yung AI yan. Google or other sites like social media or Facebook. Facebook na lang. Si Google, ano natin, connect natin. Pag nag-search ka nga, automatic, after some time, yung mga sinesearch mo, or related do sa mga sinesearch mo, it will give you, or those sites will give you yung mga related sa mga sinearch mo. Okay? AI yan. Kaya, be careful in typing or in searching. Okay? So, ito pa, aside from typing, if you have Siri or yung mga voice command natin, guys, kahit hindi nyo nakikita na naka-on sa phone ninyo, basta activated yan. Ano? When you say activated, enable, pero naka-minimize or naka-hide lang yung ano. Those programs are actually listening to your audio. Be careful. Kaya minsan o kadalasan magtataka tayo, bakit alam ng phone kung ano yung pinag-uusapan. Merong ano yan, merong online ang tawag doon, digital na chismosa. Okay? Yung mga ganang programs. That is through artificial intelligence then. I'm not saying purely Python, pero artificial intelligence yan. As well, Intel, Cisco, Hewlett-Packard, Seagate, Qualcomm, and IBM, they make use of Python for their hardware testing. Okay? So, not only for software testing, pwede rin magamit. We can create test cases for software as well as for hardware. For GIS, yung ASRI uses Python as an user customization tool for its popular GIS mapping products. Yung nabanggit ko kanina, yung mga mapping apps or application natin. So, paano nila nagagawa yan? Okay? May artificial intelligence. Paano nila na-detect yung mga object or yung mga places? Okay? So, that's the power of programming. Not only Python. Different programming languages. Okay? Ito, YouTube video sharing service is largely written in Python. Okay, imagine, you can easily share video through Python. Now, here, how to install? Of course, before you can use Python, you have to install. It is not unlike in Mac OS or Linux or Unix, pre-install dyan. But in Windows, you have to install. So, saan natin i-download? So, from its official, from its official site, which is python.org, just download the latest version. The latest version is 3.9. Actually, if you will look at their site, may nabanggit na silang 3.10. That is their future version. Marirelease pa yan ng October. Okay? So, yun nga, Python comes with a large library of standard modules. Standard modules meaning anybody or every apps na gumagamit, they are also using same module as Python. Okay? So, the several options for an IDE, ito meron akong tatlo pero may bibigay pa akong iba. So, we have the idle. So, we can install in Windows. Emacs is for Macintosh, so Python mode dyan, or any favorite text editor na pwede nyo magamit. Eclipse, so I think you are familiar with Eclipse. First time ko ma-encounter is in creating or developing Java or Android. Wala pang Android Studio nun. Eclipse pa lang. So we have Eclipse with PyDev. So you can make use of this to create programs in Python. Okay, you can download or you can look at the link as seen on the screen. Now, how to run Python? So we have actually in running Python or scripts. Okay, we have two modes. Okay, 'di ba? Parang pagka gumagawa tayo ng program, parang two modes din, design time at runtime, ano? Okay? Now in Python, may ganun din, kaya lang we can run in two different ways or method. So, programming modes. The first one is interactive mode. So, when you say interactive mode, at the shell or at the command prompt of Python, we can interact. Kaya nga interactive. We can run or execute the commands. Okay? So, why do we need to use the interactive mode? So, for immediate feedback, if you want to test the code, you can make use of the shell or the command. Okay, later on, I will show you the appearance. So, this is not designed to create programs to save and run later. Meaning, you have to type. Okay? By the way, class, or guys, Python is under CLI. Okay, CLI. So, meaning you have to memorize, you have to know the exact command or commands na ginagamit in Python. Pagka nagkamali kayo, this is error. Ano? If you're familiar with command prompt, yun, same thing with that. In order for you to execute commands in CLI, you have to know, you have to memorize the exact command. So same thing with Python using interactive. Okay? The other one is script mode. Ano naman script mode? Script mode is just like combination, or you have the list of codes using your text editor or word processor. So you can just type your codes and save. Okay? Pwede mong ma-save and later on, so you can have the extension of .py or .ipynb extension. Okay? So magkaiba yan. So kasi magkaiba lang ng IDE yung ginamit ko. Okay? Sa iba meron din. So usually .py or py ginagamit na extension. So yung script mode is you will save the text or you will save using your text editor list of codes. Okay? Yung mga tinesting mo sa interactive, pwede mo pagsama-samahin yun doon para isang execute na lang. Okay? So this is one IDE, idle. So ito yung tsura niya as you can see on the screen. So medyo maliit nga lang. So idle is an integrated development environment. Actually, IDE yung tawag natin. But in Python, idle. Tinago nila. Okay? So that is for Python. So typically, this is designed for Windows. So idle is a multi-window text editor with syntax highlighting, auto-completion, even smart ident, and other. So it has other features. Python shell with syntax highlighting, integrated debugger with stepping, persistent breakpoints, and call stack visibility within idle IDE or idle development environment. Actually, guys, you can, aside from idle, ito, for Macintosh. If you have Macintosh, baka mamaya, sir, wala po kaming idle or we are using Macintosh. Okay, you can make use of Emacs. Okay, so Python mode that has a good support for editing Python and enabled by default. Okay, for Py files. So, features nito, completion symbol, LDOC, and inferior interpreter shell. Okay? So, ito yung itsura niya. Tingnan nyo na lang sa screen. Now, in Unix, now, kung curious kayo with Unix, so this how to run interactively, of course. So, command prompt. So, you just type Python, and then it will give you the three less, what do you call this? Greater than. Ano? Greater than. Tatlong greater than symbols. O, hindi naman, pag sinabi natin angle brackets, kasama si less than. Ano? Itong tatlong, that's the prompt. The Python prompts. Kahit saan kayo pumunta, yun na makikita ninyo. The Python prompts. Now, for Unix, you have to press Ctrl D to exit. Pag Windows, Ctrl Z, then enter. Okay? Or you can just type exit. Exit. Okay? So, exit with open and close parentheses. Some other IDEs. So, we have the Komodo, Vim, TextMate, gedit, Tida, Notepad++, Bluefish, Jupyter. Now, those are ito yung mga kailangan nyo pang install. Now, kung ayaw nyo mag-install, ano, hindi ayaw nyo na mag-download, you can have an online Google column. 'Di ba? Sabi natin, at the beginning, Google is using Python. So, meron silang mismong IDE, online IDE, which is Google column. So, you can just access colab.research.google.com. Then you will have the IDE for Python. Now, versions. So, we have different versions. So, Python or CPython, which is written in C or C++. So, major version to. So, una 2.7. Yung version 2, of course, wala na, deprecated na si version 1. Meaning, konti lang talaga naman yung features na meron doon. So, kaya ina-upgrade. You might asking, why do we have so many versions? Ano, may mga improvement or may mga dinagdag silang from previous version. So, yung 2.7, yung code ng 2.7, you cannot easily or just type it on version 3. So, nababago na. Yan. Now, if you want to have in Java, so Jython, okay, or in C#, kung merong ano kayo sa .NET environment, you can make use of Iron Python. So, this is the appearance of Python under CMD. Okay? Once you install in your Windows, if you are using Windows, kung ano mong version Windows yan, of course, siguro may Windows 7 pa o Windows 10. Just type Python. Okay? So, and then you can see here the prompt. And within that prompt, you can execute the command. Ito basically a simple math statement lang. Okay? Then it will just give you the result. Okay? And Control Z is to exit. Now, if you're familiar with command prompt, so yun yung itsura niya. Okay? So, same thing. So, here, I perform same command to check the version. So, if you are inside the Python na, you can check the version using this command. Import sys, meaning you have to use, kumbaga sa C++, parang ano to, or C, include or Java is also using import, di ba? So, meaning you are using that module, sys, and within that module, you have the version. So, once you execute that, you hit the enter, it will give you the result na nasa baba. Okay? The description and the version of the Python, installed Python within your PC. Okay? So, this is using command prompt. This is using Jupyter. Okay? So, ito hindi nyo makikita yung tatlong greater than, ano? Pero, same command, I run import sys. By the way, using Jupyter, you have to, of course, install then. Aside from Python, you have the, yung pinaka core nung IDE ito. So, this is web-based. So it will create a local web server. So si Jupyter ang tawag nila. So I run same command to check the version. Okay. And then of course using Colab. So hindi makakalusot si Colab. So using Colab, I also execute the same command. Okay. So meaning yung portability niya ayan yung cross platform niya. Okay. Using different IDEs. But the same command, it will give you the same result. Okay, unlike in other programming language, parang meron ka pang i-adjust or i-calibrate pagka in-execute mo for different IDEs. Okay? So I just show you the different using three different IDEs with the same command. So it will give you the same result. Now, ito yung talaga exact using idle kasi yung una command prompt lang. Okay? Pangalawa Jupyter. Pangatlo is Google Column. And then pang-apat using idle. So same command, then same output then. Now, running your first Python program. Ito, I know you're actually waiting for this. How to run or what are the basic commands? So I'll just give you the basic muna. Okay, how to output, how to display. Okay? If you are already inside Python shell, okay? So, nasa loob ka na ng, nakikita mo na yung tatlong greater than prompt. Okay? You can just type print, then the text. Okay. Now, meron kayong makikita yung mga old versions. Okay? Especially yung mga version 2 o version 1 na code. Na Python. Yung print nila walang parentheses. Okay, only the double quotation. Okay? At the latest version of Python, hindi mag-work. So kailangan may parentheses. Okay? By the way, guys, wala tong delimiter. Unlike sa C, sa Java, may semicolon. PHP, di ba? Nalagyan natin. So, if you are familiar with C, printf to display. Python print. So, if you want to display, just make use of print. Okay? Sa PHP, echo. Pero may print din tayo doon. You can make use of print din. Okay? Sa ibang programming language, okay? So, pagka C++, iba na. Okay? Yung pag-display. Now, in Python, just make use of print. And then, you have the literal constant or a character. String of characters na gusto mong i-display. Just make sure it is enclosed with double quotation. Okay? Once you enter, or once you hit the enter key, it will display this text. Okay? So, very straightforward. Okay? So, using this command. Now, i-ano natin na konti. Python is case sensitive. What do you mean by case sensitive? For different commands or within the command, i-reserve words natin. Okay, even declarations of variables or statements. Yung say case sensitive, kung paano siya na-define. Okay, for example, variable or this keyword or this command, it should be the same case. Otherwise, tulad yung naka-red na to, okay, proper case, meaning capital yung first letter or all caps. Okay, all caps. Okay, it will give you an error. Okay, it will give you an error. So here, in Python, so it has a computer instruction, which is called the statement. Okay, it is a command. It is just like a verb. Yung print. Then yung expression natin, yung i-display, it's just like string expression or literal constant natin. Okay? Enclosed with double quotation. Now, pagka mali nga, it will produce syntax errors. So, alam naman natin pagka syntax errors. For example, yung case, all caps or naka-proper case siya, meaning the first letter is in big letter. Okay? It will produce an error. Or same with this. I use or I place print instead of print. So, sabihin sa iyo, error. Okay? Syntax error. Knowing, we have different types of errors in programming. Alam niyo yan. Okay? Basically, we have 3. Bigay ko lang sa inyo, just to recall. Aside from syntax, we have the math error. Okay? When you say math error, you have mathematical or runtime error produced by division by 0. Usually, ganun. The third one is logical error. Okay? Sa tatlong yan, ang pinakamahirap ma-trace is the logical error. Why? The compiler or the interpreter will not give you the error. Paano mo nalaman error? Once you see the output. Okay? So, napakahirap hanapin ng error niya yan, yung logical. So, it will execute the program, but the output is not the expected one. That's why it's logical error. Meaning, mali sa expected. Okay? So, nabanggit ko lang yung error. So, in Python, it will also produce those errors then. So, pagka mali tayo ng na-type, yung case, syntax error yan. So, now, of course, in Python, we have also the program documentation. So, ano bang meron? We can easily document, or within our command, or within our codes, we can place documentation. We can make comments. Okay? Actually, as developer, as a teacher din, ito sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, comments, may dalawang purpose yan. Lagi ko sinasabi. Okay? Aside from placing a comment, placing a description, diba? We make use of comment to place descriptions of our code para yung mga titingin ng code, you can easily trace or check para saan ba tong code nito using comment. Or even kung ikaw mismo yung gumawa, minsan nalilimutan na ano bang code na to. So we make use of comment. Okay? So the second purpose of comment is to disable that command or a specific command. Instead of deleting the command, I can just place comment or I just make it a comment. Okay? So, hindi na siya magti-take effect. Alam natin, when you say comment, it will be ignored. It will be ignored by the translator. Kung ano bang translator yan, kung compiler man or interpreter, i-ignore yon kapag naka-comment. So, yung dalawang yon. So, yung description as well as the command na gusto kong i-disable for temporarily na disable. So, I will just make it as a comment. Para pagka kinalangan ko ulit siya, okay, pwede ko mabalik. Hindi yung magta-type ako ng napakahaba. Okay? Lalo pagka medyo mahaba yung code mo. Okay? So, pwede mong gawing comment lang. So, in Python, we make use of ang tawag natin sa symbol nito, hashtag symbol. Na hashtag. Ngayon lang yung tinawag na hashtag. Dati, sharp symbol yan. The sharp symbol. Okay? Or number symbol. Okay? Now, let's move to Python basic data structures. So, ito yung ginagamit natin usually. Of course, in making programs. So, numbers. So, we can make use of integers. Okay? Of course, mayroong octal hexadecimal din yan. Long integers. So, nababago lang namang range niyan eh. Okay? Floating point with decimal numbers. Complex numbers, we make use of J instead of I. Yan. As well as Boolean. So, yan yung okay? So, usually, ito yung mga ano din eh. Pwede natin magamit as data type. As variables. So, we know variables in Python, variables do not have types. Okay? So, yung nabanggit ko kanina, depending on the value na lang. We will not declare it. Unlike other programming languages, before you can use, you have to define it first. In Python, you don't need to declare it. Okay? Anong gagawin mo? Assign mo na lang. Just assign a value for a particular variable. Okay? So So they will appear when you assign them, meaning it will exist, and then they will disappear when you do not use them. Okay? At the right side, ito yung sample. Okay, at the prompt. So we have x, and then we assign 1 plus 1. And if you want to see the value of x, we have just place the variable, and then it will give you 2. Okay? So kung gusto mo may decimal, pwede flexible yung variable ng ano natin dito. Unlike other programming languages, kung ano yung type niya, kailangan match. Okay? Ang ano lang dito, from number to string, magkaiba yan. Okay? Kung numbers, okay lang. Pero pagka tatawid na siya as different data type, like let's say number to string o vice versa, so hindi pwedeng basta pagsamahin yon. Okay? So once you delete, ito, sample. So del y, meaning you will remove the variable y. Okay? So once you check the value of y, mag-i-error na yan. Sabihin sa'yo, name y is not defined. Okay? So kung hanggat hindi tayo nag-a-assign ng value, it will not be defined. Hindi siya ma-recognize. So naming rules, ito alam niyo naman ito. So I'll just include this. So naming rules, so in Python, case sensitive, but it cannot start with a number also. Same with the other language or programming language. It can contain letters, numbers, and underscores. So pero hindi pwedeng nag-start sa number. Tatandaan nyo yan. And of course, avoid using names na part ng reserved words. Okay? So yan, some of the reserved words in Python. So we cannot use these words as identifier, as our identifier. So other rules, so yung spaces, punctuation symbols, ganun din. And avoid lengthy names for variables. Kayo din na mahihirapan yung pagka medyo mahaba. Okay? So as much possible, kung pwedeng maikli, iklihan lang natin. Okay? Huwag naman yung napaka-generic yung variable. Mas maganda yung variable is based on its purpose or kung saan nyo gagamitin. So naming conventions, Python community has this recommended naming conventions. Okay? It's up to you if you want to use, pero pwede namang ito lang yung mga, hindi naman siya standard. Kumbaga ito lang yung nire-recommend. So joined lower for functions, meaning all small letters for functions, methods, and attributes. Joined lower or all caps for constants. We have studly caps for classes. So using this recommendation, you can easily recognize the camel case for pre-existing conventions. And if you have attributes like interface or internal, so yun yung recommendations. Now, aside from variables, we have also the list. Okay? List in Python. So Python is just like, or list in Python is just like an array. Okay? Like object. Like object. So it uses square bracket. Okay? The subscript or the index starts at 0. 0 base yan. Like C or Java array. So as you can see on the sample at the right side. So to instantiate or to store values on our list or array. So ganun lang yan. Using square bracket. Now if you want to access, you have the index. Okay? So yung 4 dito is 0, yung 5, 1, and 6 is 2. Okay? Now, list is immutable. Mutable. When you say mutable, we can easily change or store values on a specific index or location. Okay? Like this one, you have the initial value 4, 5, 6. Then you define this or declare this value or assignment statement j with index 1 equals to 7. So mapapalitan yung value ng 5. Ma-overwrite ng 7. Okay? You can also use the length. Kung you see length, the available content within the list. Okay, and there are some or more methods with list, hindi lang yan, marami. Okay, this indexing, so you have to use the bracket notation. So it starts with 0 and it can have negative. So negative pabaliktad. Okay, pag negative, mag-start ka sa right side, going to the left. Okay, pag 0, from going to the right, pag positive. Okay, so that is for the list. Okay, so just like an array lang. So slicing within the list. So slicing is similar to indexing except you indicate both the start and stop index separated by colon. Okay, so you have two parameters here, o sa loob. Okay, separated by colon. So from the given values, spam 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then x and end and spam 6. Okay, if you slice it with 5 to 7, so kukuhanin niyo yung from this value, x and end. Okay, start and stop. Okay, the start and stop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So doon mo umpisa yun. Okay, and then end at 7. So hindi kasama yung spam 6. So ito. So you can also use the negative value or the negative indexing. Okay, so pag negative, pag ganun, pakaliwa. Okay, going to the left. At pag positive value, yung index, going to the right. Okay, don't forget, always starts with 0 yan. So here are some methods. So you can append. When you say append, add an element to the end of the list. Pop, remove. Okay, insert is to add anywhere. So insert is you can define the position. Okay, the plus and asterisk is just like concatenation, and if you want to replicate, okay, replicate the value. Okay, later on I will show you the plus and asterisk. And there are some more methods with list. Pwede nating by the way, in Python you can type help, then open and close parenthesis yung object na gusto mong hanapin ng additional information, like this, so help list, makikita niyo. Aside from list, we have the strings. So alam naman natin yung strings, so ito kilala natin. So sequence of characters between quotes, it can be double quote, single quote, and triple quotes, pwede yan. So there are no character data type in Python, only string. Okay, so strings are not arrays of characters, unlike in in C or C++. Okay, so use subscript notation to read individual characters as a string. Just like in example, if you have the value of x equals ABC and you want to access the first character, the first letter, so you have x script 0. Okay, you can also use the len method, so to get the number of characters on a given string. Okay, so strings are immutable, like list. So ano yun, hindi natin basta pwedeng mapalitan yung value. Okay, now if you want, you can reassign the value of string. So just like this one, so na-access natin yung sub-0 and then nilagyan natin yung value na D, so hindi pwede, it will give you an error. So sabi, str object does not support item. Okay, so that's for string. Now we have also conversion of values. So when you say conversion from one character, from one type to another type, just like number to string. So string values can be converted into integers using int function. Okay, int, full number yon. So string values can be converted to floating points using float. Ints and floats can be converted to string using str. Okay, or you can define, so ito yun, not only double quotation, single quote, or even triple quote, pwede. So these are some string methods you can use of upper. So when you say methods from the object name or the variable name, you can have that, then the method. So bawa x.upper. So if you use upper, it will convert to uppercase. Kabaliktaran naman yung lower, and then swap case is whatever the case of the given character string value, okay, it will be converted or switch using swap case. Capitalized naman is proper case, the first letter, okay, the first letter lang. Of course, the title, it returns new string with the first letter of each word capitalized, and all others are in lowercase. So like ano lang, proper case din yan. Strip returns a new string with leading and trailing with white space removed. So just like trim, di ba? Gamit natin trim. Dito naman sa Python, strip. Then we can also use replace method. So replace is from old value to new. Okay, you can easily change the character, okay, or the group of characters within a string. So pwede mo palitan, okay, with the number maximum number of times. So pwede mong ma-define kung halimbawa pantatlo lang, o you can define 3 times lang. Okay, aside from strings, we have also tuples. Tuples is just like list, kaya lang immutable ito. So parang string, immutable din. But instead of using square bracket, we make use of open parenthesis. Okay? We make use of square bracket for what? Accessing it. For accessing it. Okay? So, square bracket ang gamit natin. Okay? So, for indexing and slicing, we make use of square bracket. So, yun ang pinagkaiba ng tuples with a list. Okay? So, usually, ito yung mga ginagamit natin in Python. Now, similar syntax. So, all 3 sequence types, tuple, strings, and lists, share much of the same syntax and functionality. Almost the same. Okay? The difference, ito lang, the key difference. Tuples and strings are immutable, meaning you cannot easily change the content. Okay? You have to redefine the value. Lists are mutable. So, list, you can easily, parang, array lang talaga. So, you can easily change the content. Now, the operation shown in this section, okay, you can apply. Okay, you can apply actually. So, if you have time, pwede tayong mag-test. Okay, for all these sequence types. Aside from this, we have also dictionaries. Dictionaries are unordered list. So, just like a list, unordered list lang. Associative array list or table or map. So, we can another structure to, parang record type. It is a record type. It has a list of key and value pairs. If you are into with associative array in PHP, so key and value then. So use key to look up the element or value. Okay, so just like this one example, I have this object person, then it has a key of first name with a value of Robin, last name with a value of Hood, another key is occupation, and with a value of scoundrel. So if you want to access, okay, so you just place the key for to look at. Excuse. Here are some methods. So if you want to display the list, a list of keys, available keys, okay, with your dictionary. So yun lang ang gagamitin natin. So values, items, hash key, okay, and a bunch more methods. Okay, so imagine naman si Google. Okay, we have the in operator. So Boolean test whether a value is inside a container. If you're going to use in. Okay, for example, t is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can test using in. 3 in t. So it will give you a value, Boolean value, sa either true or false. O hanapin niya. Hanapin lang niya yung value ng 3 kung nandun sa list natin. Okay? Kung wala, it will give you false. Kung nandun naman, kung present naman yung value yun, it will give you true. So mas madali. Diba? Mas madaling mag-search. Okay? If you want to search within your yung mga sequence types natin na mention using in. Okay, but in strings, ito, you can also use substrings naman. Okay, ito with the array or list. Sa strings, so you can check whether that character or group of characters, okay, present or it contains in the given value of that string. So true or false din ang bibigay niya. True or false din. Okay? So using in, kailangan kapag ka two or more characters, it should be in correct order or sequence. Okay? Kapag ka mali, pagka magkaiba siya ng sequence, it will give you false. But be careful in using keyword, in keyword. Okay? So you also use in the syntax for a loop. Okay? And these comprehensions. Okay? So baka ma-confuse kayo sa in operator. Plus, this is for concatenation. So pagduduksongin lang naman niya. Okay? Using plus. Okay? That's the concatenation. The asterisk. Okay? Operator. So it will replicate. Okay? Yung number dito, kung ilang beses niya ulitin yan. Okay? Kung times 3, so 3 times niya ulitin yan. Okay? So that is in Python. No? Dali lang, ano? Pero in other language, if you want to do this, so looping ang gagamitin mo. Okay? So using asterisk operator lang. Multiplication operator. Assignments. So for assignments, we make use of equal sign. For equality, double equal sign. For not equals, we can make use of exclamation equals or less than, greater than. Okay, so we can assign using this statement. X, Y, Z is equals to 1, 2, 3. So meaning X equals to 1, Y equals to 2, and Z equals to 3. So in one line. So pwedeng using comma lang to distinguish the order and the value. Okay. Now, if you want to declare a variable which is same value lang, katulad nito, A equals B equals to 1, 2, 3. Meaning A and B is equals to 1, 2, 3. But if you will declare differently, different values, X, Y, Z equals 1, 2, 3. Okay? So, natin. So, other assignment operators, ito, alam nyo na to. Okay? So, Python. Ganun din. Now, for logical values, true or false lang naman yan. Okay? So, we make use of true or false then. So, ganun din. Same concept with Python. Now, with statement and control structures. As we all know, yung control structures natin, sequential, selection, and iteration or looping. Okay? So, yung sequential, madali lang yan. Okay? By default, yun ang ginagawa natin in Python. But in selection and looping, so meron tayong kakaiba. So, kakaiba. Or ika nga ay parang nagkaroon ng twist. So blocks, of course, when you say blocks, groupings to. Now, in Python, if you want to group, okay, we make use of indentation. So, i-indent mo lang. So, there's no begin or end or curly brace. Unlike in PHP or Java or C, we make use of this. Okay? To define the groupings or blocks. Okay? So, if you will use if, don't forget the colon. And then, the code after that if, ano yung corresponding statement niya. Okay? So, if you have a group or block, naka-indent lahat yan. Yung susunod dyan. Okay? So, don't forget to indent. Pagka hindi nag-indent, hindi siya ka-group o hindi part ng block. Now, if you have the nested, ito tawag natin if else, di ba? If else. Pero dito, if elif else. And if elif else. So if you have, by the way, don't need to put parenthesis, pwedeng optional yon, optional. So condition, then the colon, then whatever statement or function you want to perform after this, after the first if. Then, if you have nested if, di ba? Nested if. Else if, in short, elif. You have another condition, colon, then the function. Another else if or elif, condition, then colon, then the statement or function. Then the last, else, wala ka lang ibang condition, else na lang. Whatever value of the color, dito pupunta, colon, then the function or the statement. Always put in your mind, guys, the indentation. Okay? Indentation tells the grouping or blocking of the statement. Looping. So, dalawa lang looping ang bibigay ko sa inyo, while and for. So, while loop, okay? So, we have this, the initial value, then while the condition is true, diba? While the condition is true, mali lang yung statement ko dito. It should be positive. X is still positive. Okay? So, these two lines, print and the decrementation. Ito yung decrementation natin. So, x equals to x minus 1. So, magdi-decrement yung value of x. So, while the statement or while the value of x is greater than or equal to 0, or while the statement is true, while this condition is true, it will perform this one. So, magdi-display lang siya. By the way, I forgot to put parenthesis here. Kasi baka mag-error yan. Mag-error. Okay? So, you have to put parenthesis here. No semicolons. May colon lang pagka sa if at saka sa loop. Yan. Especially for while. For loops. So, to make an ordinary for loop, use the built-in function range. So, ito yung maganda dito sa for. Unlike sa C or Java, di ba, we have for, initial value, condition, and then increment value. Here, you can make use of range. Default is you have increment of 1. Okay? Nag-increment siya. Okay? Pero yung value yon is not included. That's why inclusive lang. Okay? So, from 0 to 99, i-display niya yan. So, for value, the value is the variable na paglalagyan ng range. Okay? From 0 to 99. Okay? So, this is the statement for value in range. Another example. So if you have in the list, so list, yung value niya. So, for value in, whatever value you have in your list, i-display niya yun. If you notice, naka-indent din. And you have the colon. The colon. So, from 10 to 19, it will start from 10. Yung kanina is start sa 0. By default, 0. Okay? If you want to change the starting point, so pwede siyang parameters. But the symbol is open. You have the open and close parenthesis. Unlike this one, pagka list, you have the square bracket. You have also the colon. Yan. So, from 10 to 19. So, yung last value, hindi kasama. Okay? The maximum value. Now, if you want to print with series, like this one, by 2s. Okay? Starting from 10, and then mag-increment siya ng 2. So, lalagyan nyo na ano yung value na pwedeng mag-increment. By default, pag hindi nyo nalagay, 1 lang yun. 1. Okay? The step value. Yung step value. Okay? The step value. So, this is the declaration. So, medyo extended na. Okay, konti na lang to. Input, output, and file access or external file. So, So I'll give you this one. So we make use of raw input function if you want to have a user input. Okay? But be careful. Okay? Once you use raw input, it returns a string. Meaning, if you enter 10, 10 is not the same as 10. Meaning, 10 is a string. So we have to convert string into number or integer or vice versa. Ano? If you make use of raw input function, okay, the value is in string. Okay? It will return a string value. Now, this is a sample tiny algorithm. Okay? With as a number. Okay? So, input. So, itong unang code is from a simple algorithm. Ano? But in Python, you have to raw input. Okay? You have the text. Yung maglalagay lang. Then, the value will be converted using int. And place it on the same variable. Ito ang kagandahan dito. You can reuse the variable. Ano? Very flexible yung variable. So, of course, if you want to display, don't forget also, again, the parentheses. Okay? Don't forget the parentheses. By the way, pagka gantong format, comma, you don't need to convert integer to string. Pero pagka plus ang lalagay mo dyan, you have to convert this into string. That's the difference. No? Now, for file input naman and output, okay, if you want to read file, you can make use of open. Then the variable. This is a variable name lang or identifier lang natin. Okay? So, file spec is an identifier. So, your text or your file with read only. This is a read only. So, it will read line. Pagka read line, one line lang yon. Pag read lines, it will read all lines. Okay? Meaning, kung ano yung content of your file. Okay? So, babasahin lang niya yun. Pabaliktad naman. Ito read. How about write? Write. W. Just put W. Okay? So, write line or write lines. So, write one line or one string or one or a string list. Write lines. Okay? So, ganun din. So, in Python, so scripts, when you call Python program from the command line, from the shell, it evaluates each expression in the file. Okay? Its familiar mechanisms are used to provide command line arguments or parameters and or redirect input and output. Okay? So, Python has also mechanisms to allow Python program to act both as a script or as a module. Okay? That can be imported and used by another Python program. So that's the good thing with Python. So pwede mong i-import at pwede mong i-run. So these are some example. Example. This is the code. Okay? The code for in Python wherein it will read a text file, an external file, read the content. Kung ang laman is email, it will validate, okay, and then display, just like this one. Okay? Kung ano yung laman ng email text, .txt, babasahin lang niya, i-display lang niya. So, the name of our Python here is email0.py. Okay? So, this is within your, outside the shell of Python. Nasa command prompt lang kayo, command prompt lang. Ano? So, you will invoke Python, then your program, this is the program, ano ba? We can code it using any text editor and save it as with extension of py extension. Then, this is the argument or parameter. So, babasahin niya and then display. Functions. Ito, konti na lang. Functions, so in functions, like other programming language, it can return value or can have a simple output lang or processing, or it can accept parameters. Okay? So, we make use of keyword depth, DEF. Okay? So yun nga, you can pass parameters, you can name arguments within your function, you can have the default value, and variable scoping. So variable scoping meaning within that function, local scope lang. Okay? Pwede mo siyang ma-declare as global. Okay? So pwedeng ma-define outside that function. Okay? So this is a function that will accept a value. Okay, the name of our function is square. Then parameter is x, meaning any value, it will accept any value. Then it will return, meaning it will give or throw once you call or invoke this function with this statement. Multiply lang yung value ngayon. Okay, x times x. By the way guys, in function definition, parang ano lang yun, naka-block din. You have the colon, then naka-indent. Okay? If you, in your function, you have several codes, i-indent mo lang yun. So, to call or invoke that function, so, yun lang. So, the name of your function, then, the parameter or the value. So, ipapasa niya yan doon, and then, babalik. Di-display niya. So when you pass a parameter to a function, you bind the parameter to that value or to the value. So it creates a new reference. So example, okay, change to. So the parameter is sumList. So yung sumList with index 1 is equals to 4. Okay. So if this one, if sumList has a value of 1, 2, 3. Okay, ito yung value niya. Okay, you define it and then you pass that, so mababago yung value ng list mo because of this definition. Okay, so yung function natin, so magiging 140 na lang siya. Bakit nangyari yun? Because of this statement. Okay, whatever value or whatever list you pass on this function, okay, mababago yung second value, second index. Okay, yung, di ba, nag-start tayo sa 0 then 1. Okay, another example, so no change meaning walang pagbabago, same, still the same. Okay, kasi yun lang x naman. Okay, no change, so hindi siya napalitan. Okay, hindi napalitan. So that's the another example of function. Okay, so I think this will be the last two slides. Another example is within the shell, left sum and difference. Sum and difference to. Okay, it will pass two parameters a and b. Then it will return the sum and then the difference using comma. Okay. Now, once you pass these values, 5 and 7, on this function, it will display 12 and 2. So, mabilis tinikli. So, one function, but it can return 2 or more values. Ito, based on the definition or declaration. Okay? So, it will get the value, okay, from the parameter, and then perform the operation, then return the result. So this one is sum and this one is the difference. Kaya ang magiging output is 12 and 2. Nag-guess nyo? Okay. Okay. So I think that's the last slide. So extend tayo ng 15 minutes. So thank you very much guys. Hoping nakapagdagdag ako ng additional information with what I have shared to you, Python. So thank you for inviting me as your resource speaker for this topic. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and God bless. Keep safe everybody. Welcome everybody.
Thank you so much, Engineer Lilo. Okay, who would have thought, no? We are all learning computer programming and everything is related. So there were words, there were symbols. We've already used for either Java or C++. All right, before we continue, we'd like to say hi to everyone on Facebook Live, everyone watching on Facebook Live. Shout out to our viewers from Negros Occidental. Hello. Joseph Novales Placer is watching from Central Philippine State University. Don Justo V. Villamor Campus, San Carlos City, Negros Occidental. Hello. BS Hospitality Management. Wow. Also to Benedict Garcia. He is from Laguna College of Business and Arts. And also to our administrators and faculty members from TriMex, Sir Alan Lorica, Ma'am Annalyn Mendoza, Dr. Louis Agustin, Ronald Amparo, Albert Escavania, Ricky Cruz, Richard Lozano. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And before we go on, we are waiting actually if Engineer Lilo is here with us because there is supposed to be a Q&A. We are waiting if Engineer Lilo has come into the Zoom room. And while we are waiting, we would like to give the announcement. I am pretty sure everyone has already seen the post, and we are all at TriMex Colleges saddened by the demise of our founder and matriarch of TriMex Colleges, Sir Lilis Constantino. She is for those who don't know, she's the school president. And recently, on April 29, 2021, she passed away. There will be a virtual mass offering, followed by a eulogy scheduled on May 2 today at 7 p.m. via Zoom. For those who are going to be paying their respects personally at the main campus of TriMex, the school is imposing strict health and safety protocols. So if you are going there, please wear your mask. Advisable, do not wear the reusable mask. Those cannot protect you or the people around you. Wear a surgical mask, N95, K95. All right, if you have an NGT mask, use it. Also, please bring your alcohols or soap, wash your hands. All right, face shields, make sure you have it. And better yet, if you have not been swabbed, for your own peace of mind and those that you will be interacting with, please have yourself swabbed. Okay, personally, I went through that recently. It's not a pleasant experience, but it has to be done. All right, so Engineer Lilo, are you here with us? Okay, let us see.
Okay, so I think baka hindi po naka-online si Engineer. So anyway, it's about time. So but of course, before ko po ibigay sa inyo, Ma'am Telly, so let me first acknowledge and award the certificates to our resource speaker who shared their knowledge regarding this wonderful topic that they have provided us. So ano ko lang po ha. So i-share ko lang po yung certificate. So for a while lang. Okay. Ayan.
Okay.
Yeah, so nakikita naman siguro, no? So I just would like to award the certificate of appreciation to Engineer Salem M. Lailo in grateful acknowledgement and sincere appreciation for having served as a guest speaker in the webinar entitled Python Programming, given the second day of May 2021, held via Zoom and Facebook Live. So signed by, of course, yours truly, and Dr. Rito A. Camigla Jr. as our VP for Academic and Student Affairs. Now, I would like also to acknowledge our second resource speaker, of course, with Sir, for a while lang ha, medyo mahirap lang i-control. Ayan.
Sir Kaloy,
Yes,
there is nothing on our screen.
Okay.
There.
So wait lang po. Ayan. So I would like to acknowledge the presence, of course, the sharing of Sir Alfred Valdez, in grateful acknowledgement and sincere appreciation for having served as the guest speaker for the webinar entitled Systems, Hardware, and Administration Role. And likewise, with Sir Sid Garcia, although medyo late po yung entry po ng topic, pero malaki po rin ang naging impact sa webinar po natin. So natutuwa naman po ang ating department dahil at least nakapag-provide po tayo ng tatlong webinars this third webinar series, no. So in behalf of the College of Computer Studies and also the EIT department, so nagpapasalamat po kami sa lahat ng mga participants, sa mga attendees na nakapag-join sa 3 webinar series po namin na kinonduct, and hoping that in the coming future po or months or school year or semester ay makapag-provide pa rin po tayo ng ganitong kainteresadong topic sa mga webinar. So there are always room for improvement, and let's see. So this time we will hear kung ano po yung mas preferred ng mga students na of course malaman nila o magkaroon o mag-gain na madagdag na knowledge po sa kanila. So actually yun lang naman po. So maraming salamat, and stay safe everyone. Ma'am Telly, so ibalik ko na po sa inyo.
Alright, thank you so much, Sir Carlo. Guys, if you don't know, Sir Caloy has been working tirelessly to give us these webinars for the past 3 sessions. And we are thankful for Sir Caloy, thankful to the MIS team for assisting us, thankful for our OJTs. You're all awesome. You're all amazing. Thank you so much for the work that you have put in here so that everyone will benefit from those 3 webinars and the various topics. Okay? And thank you to all our attendees. We can say that most of you are here because you want to e-search or you for attendance, but hindsight, you also know that this is something you need to learn, need to be aware of, specifically our first topic, which is data privacy. A lot of us just keep grabbing photos without asking permission. You are aware that you can be sued for it, or you can be sued for copyright infringement or for posting pictures that are not yours. Okay, so please be careful. You don't want the same thing to happen to you. So let's be kind to ourselves and to one another. On that note, we would like also to thank Trimex Colleges for being generous and kind for allowing us, our department, the Computer Studies Department, to give these webinars for free to all our attendees, students, friends from other schools, other industries. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making all the webinars on all aspects of the department and the school successful. Thank you very much. And before we forget, we would again like to remind everybody that there will be a memorial for our founder and matriarch later at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And if you would like to pay your respects to her, please go to the Trimex main office, main building, with safety protocols. Very, very important. All right? And again, thank you everyone for being here. We are sure that you learned a boatload of information just about almost everything. I am proud of our department because we were able to cover topics not just about the computer industry, but about a lot of things, especially our first talk with Sir Ricky, which dealt on how to land a job. So I hope you remember that. And thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Thank you all. Stay safe. Wash your hands.